It's the Orioles on Masson in the final game for the Orioles before the All-Star break as they take on the AL Central leading Chicago White Sox, looking for one more victory before a couple of days off. Welcome in, everybody. Jeff Arnold. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday afternoon. This year, the Orioles have got Cedric Mullins going to the All-Star game. And when you think about it, 2 years ago, this is a guy who is down in Double-A Bowie, trying to figure out how to get back to the major leagues. And what he has done in the 2 years since has been nothing short of remarkable. Trey Mancini, meanwhile, he is the best story in baseball this year. A guy that battles back from colorectal cancer is back on the field. He's going to be competing in the Home Run Derby. It's going to be super exciting to see both of them in Denver. And Ben McDonald, while it has been a lot of ups and downs in the first half for the Orioles this year, you can focus on some of the individual stories. And man, do you have two good ones.
Yeah, two of the best stories in all of baseball. I mean, let's start with Cedric Mullins. I mean, you can find his name in the top 10 in 9 of the 15 different offensive categories, including tied for first in base hits. You go down the line, he's 5th in batting average. He's 6th in on-base percentage. He's up there in OPS, slugging, hits, all of them total bases, and of course 2nd in stolen bases with the speed. The defense has been phenomenal. He's played a Gold Glove caliber center field as well. For Trey Mancini, after missing last year battling cancer, you had to wonder, and I think he wondered too for a while, could he ever return to what he did back in 2019 when he had a career high 35 homers and 97 RBIs. He's put all that to bed this year. 53 RBIs, that leads the club. He's got 15 home runs. That's second only to that man right there and Cedric Mullins. So these are definitely two of the best feel-good stories in all of baseball this year.
It's going to be super exciting to see both of them in Denver for the All-Star game. Hopefully they'll both enjoy themselves. It's the Orioles and the White Sox. Orioles facing right-hander Dylan Cease today. First pitch is coming up shortly on Masson. Brought to you by PNC, helping to make banking easier. Beautiful shot of the harbor. White Sox will start things off against Spencer Watkins. Here's your starting lineup. Tim Anderson going to the All-Star game leads off. Yohan Moncada second. Jose Abreu 12 driven in the month of July, tied for first in the major leagues. Brian Goodwin big game yesterday. Adam Engel back in center field today. Garcia, Vaughn, Sheets, and Zavala round things out, and they will face Spencer Watkins.
Yeah, and Spencer Watkins making his 2nd ever big league start. 3rd appearance of his career. He was really good in his first big league start. 5 innings, 3 hits, only 1 run he gave up. As Melanie said earlier, he was the first Oriole pitcher to work at least 5 innings in the last 12 times out for the Oriole starters. See opponents hitting just 158. Ball to 28-year-old rookie Spencer Watkins. This is StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Here's the pitch arsenal. See the 4-seam fastball 46% of the time, cutter 36% of the time. And that's kind of been the difference maker so far. 16.5 on the curveball. And the occasional changeup is a pitch that he says that he is going to continue to work on. He knows he needs that changeup going down and away from the left-handers, but it's about the fastball and cutter. It's not an exploding fastball. It's a pretty average to a little bit below average fastball, but typically spots it well. Remember, he spent 6 years in the minor leagues and put up some good numbers with the Tigers in the minor leagues. And here's the Orioles defense, how they'll line it up behind Spencer Watkins. McKenna in left field, Mullins in center. Austin Hayes gets a start in right. Your double play combination. Urias at short. Leyba at second base. Kelvin Gutierrez back over at third. Ryan Mountcastle at first. And Pedro Severino behind the home plate for the Orioles.
And the Orioles, they're trying to pick up their first win against the White Sox this year. White Sox have taken all 6 games. They've lost their last 7 straight overall to Chicago, going back to 2019. Longest slide by the Orioles against the White Sox since the late 80s, early 90s. But Spencer Watkins, great start last time out against the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's going to try and tame yet another talented lineup. So Watkins is ready to go. He'll face Tim Anderson to begin things today. 1 for 5 yesterday, the owner of an 11-game hitting streak. And Watkins misses high and inside with a fastball for ball 1. 4 for 10 in the series for Anderson. And over his 11-game hitting streak, he's batting .408, 5 doubles, 12 runs scored. He sails the first one out to right field. Austin Hayes is there, and he makes the catch. Anderson retired, and there's one gone.
So already better on the first batter. Remember, The first time Spencer Watkins faced Marcus Semien, Toronto Blue Jays, he walked him to lead off the game. That run would come around to score. Of course, it was the only run that he gave up, so a better start for him.
And maybe some nerves in the first inning against the Blue Jays, which is understandable. Plus, it was his first big league start, but then settled in nicely after that. Didn't give up any runs in the 4 innings following it. Moncada, good numbers against the Orioles, and he takes low for ball 1. Spencer Watkins, 5 innings of 1-run baseball. Ended a club record of 24 games in a row without a win from a starting pitcher. That's outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Had his father-in-law there, his agent was there, and then his wife Brittany was watching from back in Phoenix.
Well, he's got his hands full today, just like he did against the Blue Jays 5 days ago. This White Sox offense is potent. 4th in batting average, runs per game, 3rd in the American League. They do not strike out very much, and they walk a bunch too. So it's a patient offense. You talk about their runs per game. 5.1 runs per game. That's 4th best in all of baseball.
And you want to talk about patience, you could start with Moncada, 7th highest walk rate in the major leagues. Sails it foul, and a guy that will make you throw a lot of pitches. On average, he sees 4.3 pitches per plate appearance. That is 4th highest in the big leagues, as you go from Anderson, who's going to try and jump on you right away, to a guy like Moncada, who's going to be a lot more patient. He's got a piece of that pitch, and the count remains 2-2.
Well, it's a kind of White Sox offense that you don't see in today's game typically, because there's not a whole lot of home runs. They're dead last in the American League in total home runs, but their situational hitting, their sacrifice bunting, their stealing the bases is a reason why they do score a lot of runs. So do it a little bit differently.
Watkins comes up and in. Count is full. Their last 5 games, 35 runs scored. They've scored 4 or more runs in 12 straight. And they've won 10 of their last 13 when reaching that 4-run mark, because the pitching's so good. Moncada lays off, and he gets a free pass from Watkins to give a 1-out base runner for the White Sox. Now Moncada reaches base, and it ends up Jose Abreu. 2 for 4 yesterday. 4 for 7 overall in the series. Got 15 home runs and 66 driven in. He is on pace for his 6th 100+ RBI season.
Well, that's what he does. He is a run producer. You go all the way back to 2014, man. 2nd best in all of baseball driving in runs. 737 runs driven in since 2014.
Only one who has done better, Nolan Arenado of the Cardinals. – 0-1 against Abreu. Friday, he drove in 3 runs. Takes up and inside from Watkins, 1-1.
And that's what we saw from Watkins in his first start. He is not afraid. Even though the fastball is below big league average, he will use the inside part of the plate. Fastball inside the righties. He'll cut the fastball inside to the left-handers.
Cutter, a pitch that newer to his arsenal this year, but we saw made a big difference. Inside, 2-1. And then after the game, it's fun. He had a big celebration with all his teammates who were waiting for him. Gave him the lineup card, everything, and that must have been some special day for Spencer Watkins earlier this week. It's fouled back. It's 2-2.
Yeah, because let's not forget, I mean, 6 years in the minor leagues for the Tigers, and really thought about, like a lot of minor leaguers last year, didn't have anywhere to play. Sitting at home, didn't make the alternate site, was actually let go July the 3rd by the Tigers. Of course, the Orioles signed him in February, but he thought about retiring. And his wife talked him into coming back, said, no, you got to give this another shot. And the Orioles signed him and gave him an opportunity, and here he is in the big leagues.
This is low there, and the count is full. And Mel told a great story the other night about just how his wife supported him, got him through it, kept him going, and his agent reached out to 29 other teams. The Orioles stayed in touch with him. Eventually, Mike Snyder's the director of pro scouting, saw enough, liked what they were seeing from Watkins. He comes into minor league camp, does his job at AAA, and here you go. Runner does not go. This is looped out to right, and it's going to dunk in front of Austin Hayes. And so a couple of long plate appearances, one by Moncada, which leads to a walk, and Abreu with a chip shot into right, 2 on and 1 out for Goodwin.
And this is exactly what the White Sox do to you. I mean, this ball is not even a strike, but they do not strike out a lot. For some reason, they have a different kind of approach at home plate than most teams do. And you can see Abreu just kind of shortens up in a 2-strike count, just dumps this ball in first and second, and only 1 out.
We got a couple men on base, and as we've pointed out, great team 2 with runners in scoring position. Goodwin takes strike 1, according to our home plate umpire Nestor Ceja today. White Sox with runners in scoring position, 4th best mark in the major leagues, and their OPS with men in scoring position is the 5th best. That's on base plus slugging. Outside corner, nothing in 2. Great predictor of success in today's game. 2 strikes against Goodwin. 4 for 5 yesterday. 4 hits, matched a career high. And this is roped out to right at Austin Hayes. He'll throw in at third base.
Got him.
Got him! That was nasty.
Well, like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes is a difference maker on both sides of the ball. Watch him come in, catch this line drive, squares the shoulders, and a rocket over to third base. And there is Kelvin Gutierrez applying the tag to get the Orioles off the field with a double play.
Sox don't score in their half of the first. 0-0 game, and now the Orioles coming to bat against Dylan Cease. It's Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, Anthony Santander, and Ryan Mountcastle. He's at first today. Ramon Urias, look at those numbers over the last 10 games. 368 average, couple of homers, couple of doubles, 5 driven in. Ryan McKenna gets the start in left. Domingo Leyba at second. Pedro Severino and Kelvin Gutierrez rounded out.
They'll take their swings off of Dylan Cease, the 25-year-old right-hander. Boy, he's been good this year. 7 wins. Top 10 in the American League in total strikeouts with 111.
Mullins drops it down. That is something we haven't seen Cedric Mullins do a whole lot of this season, but he is still one of the best bunters in the game, and that was executed with perfection.
Well, he's not had to do it this year because he's been swinging it so well at the plate for the Orioles. Not quite as hot lately, but Cedric Mullins is one of those guys. He's going to take what you give him, and he sees the third baseman Mikado playing back. He said, you know what, if you're going to play me there, I got this in my arsenal, and lays down a perfect bunt and a good way to get the Orioles started today.
So make it hit number 106 for Mullins on the year. He now takes control of the American League lead. He came in tied with Vlad Guerrero Jr. of Toronto. And here comes Austin Hayes. What a play he made to end the top half of the first inning. Making the catch in right, and then Yohan Moncada tried to move up, and Hayes gunned him down. Puts this one in the air, right field deep. This one out of here. Home run for Austin Hayes. He hasn't figured it out yet. Now he does. What a play he makes on defense. And he's the first one to come through on offense. The Orioles go up 2-0 against Cease.
Boy, Cedric Mullins, you talk about putting one down and then a long ball, just a fastball right in the middle part of the plate. It's a good fastball, 95 miles an hour, but look where it is, middle, inside out swing. And Austin Hayes didn't know if he had this one or not. It hits right on top, but that is a home run, puts the Orioles up 2-0. Hayes' 9th home run, 31st RBIs of the year.
Dylan Cease, welcome to the game. Santander swings and misses, strike one.
Well, we talk about these first innings all the time, you know, and trying to navigate as a starting pitcher through the first inning when you're not quite sure what you have. You get a bunt that's laid down, and then, boy, he makes a mistake with a fastball, and Austin Hayes all over it.
And the White Sox are a club that, when it comes to the first few innings of games, they usually are up there in run differential. And now 13 allowed, 11 earned runs by Cease in the first inning. And Santander fouls this one away, 1-2.
Well, this is the pitch arsenal for Dylan Cease. Fastball about 47% of the time. It averages 96 miles an hour, so it's a big fastball. Slider, knuckle curve, and a changeup about 10% of the time, so he's got all the pitches. And you mentioned the whiff rates. I mean, his whiff rates have increased this year. His stuff has gotten better. We talked about some of the numbers. What, 48% whiff rate on the slider, which is well above average. 39% on the curveball.
Third highest increase in the major leagues this year. Only Michael Fulmer of Detroit and Patrick Sandoval have gotten higher whiff rate increases, as there's a ground ball to first, and Gavin Sheets will take care of it.
There's the White Sox defense behind Dylan Cease. Andrew Vaughn out in left, Adam Engel in center, Brian Goodwin over in right field. Your double play combination, Anderson and Garcia at second, Moncada at third, Gavin Sheets, the local product, at first, and Sevi Zavala behind home plate for the White Sox.
And Zavala did a good job catching Dallas Keuchel in the first game of the series. Ryan Mountcastle looking at strike one. Now Dylan Cease, the Orioles jumped on him for 2 runs after the Hayes home run. Last time out, 6 runs in 5 1/3 innings. He's had some problems recently. And there he hits Mountcastle. When it comes up and in like that, it always leaves you a little bit concerned.
Yeah. And when it's that kind of velocity, too, because at 97 miles an hour up and in, you really don't have time to get out of the way.
And you have to remember, for Dylan Cease, he came up and in first inning when the Orioles were in Chicago and hit Trey Mancini in the elbow, and here he gets Mountcastle.
Oh, and that's right off the left wrist hand area, and boy, you hate to see that. That's where all those tiny little bones are.
Mel, do you have something?
Well, yeah, you guys have been discussing the strikeout rates that were up for Cease. He's more in the zone. This has also become a problem, though. It's 2 months to the day. May 11th was when he started to run into hitting batters and just having a real hard time with it. Since May 11th, he's now hit 6, including his last 3 starts. He did have a hit batsman in start against the Twins the last time out as well. And this is what's been that ongoing discussion this year, because you do see those pitchers who found success moving inside, but as they're trying to recommand that baseball now in a new environment in the middle of the season, you are seeing some of these numbers trend upwards.
So that's 7 hit by pitches now for Dylan Cease on the season. That's the most on this White Sox staff. And you pointed it out. It's one thing when you're coming up and in, but it's especially concerning when he's throwing 96, 97 miles an hour.
You just don't have time to get out of the way, and hit by pitches have been up all year long and even more recently. And truth is, not many guys can effectively pitch inside, and they try to throw inside for strikes and just in off the plate, but the command of the fastball can kind of get sideways.
So Mountcastle, he's still down at first base. Brian Ebel, Orioles trainer, out there with him, and Mountcastle is going to stay in there as he gets hit by a pitch.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you just don't know yet. He's going to try to stay in the game. We'll see the next time he has to swing a bat how he feels.
That sends Ramon Urias up to the plate. 4 for 8 on the series. Home run came in Friday night's game. And he takes down on a breaking ball, 1-0. Yesterday, another multi-hit game. 5 multi-hit efforts for Urias in his last 6. He's hit safely in 9 of 11 since he was recalled after Freddie Galvis went on the injured list. Hits this one in the air out to right. And Goodwin comes in and makes the catch. So Cease gets the out after the hit by pitch to Mountcastle. Orioles already have a 2-0 lead after Hayes' home run. And it'll bring up Ryan McKenna. Gets a chance to start in left field for the Orioles today. Had a pinch hit appearance last night against Liam Hendricks. Ended up striking out as the Orioles fell in game 2. As we said, trying for their first win of the season against the White Sox. Oh, 2. 2 strikes against McKenna. Hitless in his last 12 at bats, but gets on base. He's got tremendous speed, and his defensive versatility really helped Brandon Hyde out. It's a little bit easier now that you've got some healthy outfielders for a change, but McKenna provides tons of flexibility.
Yeah, when you line these 3 up in the outfield, this is from a defensive standpoint now for the Orioles. This is their best outfield. Santander still moving okay, but not 100% with the ankle sprain. But when you run McKenna and Mullins and Hayes in the outfield, it's as good as any outfield from a defensive standpoint.
I mean, Mullins is a Gold Glove caliber center fielder. Austin Hayes right up there in defensive runs saved. In the dirt. This throw is wild into center field. Mountcastle's going to head to third. And he makes it in there as the Orioles making a bid for a 3rd run in this first inning.
Well, this is one of these things that surprises you sometimes about Mountcastle. Above average speed. And he gets a really good read on a dirt ball. And it's all about the secondary lead. You see him in top of your screen. He'll shuffle. When the ball kicks away, he never even hesitates. Easily in the second base. Realizes the errant throw. And it even takes an extra 90 feet. So the wrist is sore, but the legs are working.
As he has grown into his body, you've started to see that speed play out.
Yeah, we didn't know it. Then all of a sudden last year, we saw a couple of times he beat some infield singles out. Well, Austin Hayes got the party started early. Second batter of the game. First pitch he sees. It's an inside out swing on a fastball out to right center field. Orioles up 2-0 as we head to the top of the second inning.
Today, because the longer you look at a new Hyundai, the more there is to like.
Well, Austin Hayes having a pretty good day so far today. Catches that line drive and throws Moncada out, trying to take an extra 90 feet to a double play and high fives in the Orioles dugout.
And moments ago, Ryan Mountcastle, he was testing things out. He got hit on the wrist by Dylan Cease, and he is going to exit the ball game. And so he'll be replaced at first base by Pat Valleca. It'll be Adam Engel to start off the second inning. Spencer Watkins walked 1, gave up a single, but was helped out by Austin Hayes' great play that we just saw. And there's Valleca. Engel is back in center field today. He started there on Friday. Down the right field line. This will dunk in there. Engel holds on at first base. Second White Sox hit of the ball game. As Engel, who drove in a career high 4 runs on Friday, gets a hit here.
Yeah, a really good 4-seam fastball. Look where the location is. Just in, right in, maybe in off the plate by the ball, but just an inside out and just kind of dumps it out there like Abreu did, but it counts for a base hit.
So it brings up Leury Garcia, who swung a good bat in this series. A multi-hit game yesterday, couple of doubles, couple of RBIs, just narrowly missed a home run. And has moved all around the diamond for the White Sox as they've dealt with some injury problems. He's made 19 starts in center, and today is 20th at second base, which is where he's been most often. Watkins misses up and in. Want to know against Leury Garcia. Started off his career in the Rangers system. Engel's got good speed. And fouls this one off of Severino, 1-1.
This is the curveball. Throws it about 17% of the time, and there's the forward motion as it rotates. Foul tips. Ricochets off Severino's right knee and eventually his chest. So fastball, cutter, curveball, and an occasional changeup.
If he continued to develop that pitch, that certainly help him as he begins to go at second, third time through the order. This is bunted. Gutierrez charging in. Gotcha. Nice play, Kelvin Gutierrez.
Well, we kind of heard the knock on Gutierrez, and we haven't seen him a lot, obviously. That defensively, sometimes he struggles. It has not been the case since he's put an Oriole uniform on. Some really nice plays the other day. I love this play. It is a big arm. I mean, when he comes across the diamond with that right arm of his, it's special, but catches it where he can square a little bit of his shoulders and a strong, accurate throw to Vallejo.
And we've seen him make some good defensive plays in the 3-game series here, Ben, but you know, one of the things that was surprising, Brandon Hyde said in the Zoom before the game today, was that he actually is a guy that when he was in Kansas City, defense was an area where he was trying to improve.
Yeah, because you look at his career numbers in the minor leagues, and he's got a lot of at-bats over 2,000, but he's almost a 290 hitter at the minor league level. But it was his defense where he really wanted to get better from a defensive standpoint. And he's been good so far.
0-1 against Andrew Vaughn. Orioles with the lead off the homer from Hayes, and now they've got somebody hung up, and Adam Engel take a seat. Adam Engel off of second base, and Watkins gets him.
Well, Adam Engel thought he was going to take advantage of the rookie. He thought he had Spencer Watkins here. But Spencer Watkins, I'm telling you, when you talk to him and you watch him pitch, he just knows. He does the little things right. He feels his position, knows how to pitch. The moments have not been too big for him. He just simply steps off and throws a dart. And Adam Engel picked off. It's so much more to just pitching than just throwing a baseball. To be able to control the running game, being a good fielder. Leyba sneaks in there right behind Adam Engel.
Vaughn, shallow right center. Hayes, he takes charge, and thanks to the great play by Gutierrez, the mistake by Engel, quicker second inning for Watkins, 2-0 O's. And she's also won $500 after Austin Hayes hit his home run in the first inning, and $500 more for every Orioles home run hit today. Play fast, play a Home Run Rich's progressive jackpot game and enter your tickets into My Lottery Rewards. Visit mdlottery.com/homerun. Now there's Austin Hayes. He's got an outfield assist. Threw out Moncada trying to advance to third base in the first inning. Then in the bottom of the first, it's a 2-run homer to the opposite field, which just got over the wall. Mingo Leyba starts off the bottom of the second and takes strike one from Dylan Cease. The homer by Hayes has been the difference so far. Leyba, he drove in 2 runs yesterday, went 2 for 3 in the game, and had both Orioles hits with men in scoring position, but here he's behind 0-2. As Domingo Leyba yesterday had a nice day at the plate.
Yes, he did. A couple of fastballs he got out over the plate and hit up one to right field. You see Sheets come up with the throw, but Mountcastle in. It's the third multiple RBI game of his career, first since 2019. So that bottom part of the Oriole lineup the last couple of nights have been producing. Gutierrez, Austin Wynns, Leyba.
5 for 12, couple of runs driven in, getting a chance to play. He chases the breaking ball from Cease, and the strikeout completed, 1 away. And Ben, you know that even if you're a player like Domingo Leyba or Kelvin Gutierrez and you go out there and you don't have a great game one day, chances are you're probably going to be back in the lineup the other day, just because you're lacking some of your key players defensively right now, especially on that left side of the infield.
And I think that's a huge point for some of these guys that's getting an opportunity to know that, okay, if I do have an 0 for 4 day and I have a bad day, you hate it because other players are hurt, but you know you're going to get another opportunity. When there's other guys sitting on the bench that are healthy, ready to go, and you have that 0 for 4 day and you feel like you're getting a shot, I think it puts extra pressure on you to go out and perform because you know, okay, if I have a bad day, I'm probably not going to be back in the game for a couple days.
And the Orioles, they have a lot of talented infielders in the bottom part of their minor league system, but at the top, there's not nearly as much depth. And so it has meant that you get Domingo Leyba from the Diamondbacks. It means that Kelvin Gutierrez, you acquire him over 4th of July weekend from the Royals, and they are in there as Freddie Galvis and Michael Franco try and get back to health. Severino lays off, 2 balls and 1 strike. I did get an update before the game on Freddie Galvis. He's going to get going in Sarasota the next couple of days, and they're hopeful that he's going to be back by the end of the month, and the same thing is true for Hunter Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey's got, well, he got a lat strain, right?
Yes.
Kind of underneath the armpit, kind of going down.
And he said, Brandon Hyde, that it seemed like the Harvey thing would maybe be a little bit more serious, but he was encouraged to hear that Harvey's maybe could have him back by the end of the month. That's a huge boost. 3-2.
All of a sudden, this inning, a lot of breaking balls by Cease, and he's got 2 good ones. That slider and his curveball. The slider has an amazing whiff rate. I mean, 48% of the time that he throws it, there's a swing and a miss.
And the Orioles learned about that when they saw Cease back on May 27th. He got 29 swings and misses, a career high, and 11 of them off the slider, and then he got 14 off the fastball.
Yeah, he struck out 10, and he's on his way so far today. Another strikeout on another breaking ball. So 3 strikeouts in a row by Cease, and all have been on this pitch right here. A really good breaking ball. And you see where it starts. It starts in the zone. It looks like a fastball. The spin looks similar. Boy, the last few feet of it, it is gone.
Two gone, and now here's Gutierrez. 2 for 3 Friday, but hitless yesterday. Back to that same pitch.
Well, this is a White Sox rotation as good as there is. I mean, and we've seen it. We've seen Keuchel and Giolito and now Cease, and we didn't even see the 2 All-Stars, Anthony Rodon and, of course, Lance Lynn. So it's a big-time #2 pitching staff in the American League when you talk about overall ERA.
Whoa. We've got 3 different pitchers that are going to the All-Star game. And then you've got Lance Lynn. He is first in the AL in ERA, 199. And then Rodon is third, 231. Two and 1 against Gutierrez. Time spent in the Central, as we said, with the Royals. Checked his swing, ball 3. Orioles, they got his contract from Kansas City last week. Played only 1 game at Norfolk, and then here he was with the Orioles at the time they were playing the Blue Jays earlier on this week. Full count now. Mullins is next for the Orioles. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Orioles have already got a pair. Here's the payoff. And that is lined right to Tim Anderson to end the inning. So Cease 2 strikeouts and a line out for a quick second. Orioles up 2-0.
as well. Beginning tonight at 7 o'clock, the number 5 pick for the Orioles. It will be their only selection this evening. 21 in total across that 3-day span. That is rounds 1 through 20 again as the draft continues to whittle itself down. It's the 3rd time that the Orioles will make that number 5 pick, and of course you can see a couple that they've made in the past. Now, a lot of conversation has been growing about Khalil Watson, and will the Orioles move on that shortstop? A look at manager Brandon Hyde as he has been trying to manage some of this talent. He and Mike Elias, though, the general manager, in agreement that they want the most athletic player, and shortstops are known for their versatility. It's one of the largest high school shortstop selections to be made this year. However, you also weigh the pitchers that are on the table as well, and the risk that it can take to develop a true pitcher. But guys, some breaking news just before first pitch as we approach the draft. Cody Schreier has withdrawn. He was another top shortstop selection. He will honor his commitment to UCLA instead. So that 12 that Elias has picked, curious to see if that's been trimmed at all.
Interesting. Well, and we talked about this yesterday. I mean, a lot of these high school kids have numbers, and you get in touch with the agents or the advisors and, you know, say, hey, that's a number. You know, this is my number. This is what it's going to take me to get away from my college experience. And when they, you know, ask around and they find out the number's not going to be what they want, they're going to end up going to college. And I think, again, that's what happened in that conversation. But this quartet of shortstops at the top, we talk about Mayer and Khalil Watson and Jordan Lawler and Brady House. Make no mistake about it, these kids aren't going to college. They're all going to be top 10 in the first round. I think, you know, 2 of those 4 for me are certainly in the mix for the Orioles at number 5.
It's a foul ball at the plate. So you think maybe a shortstop is what the Orioles are going to do, or would you maybe think Davis, or if a pitcher is out there? What's your prediction for tonight?
Well, first of all, if Jack Leiter's there, I think that's who the Orioles take. I don't think he's going to be there. I do think if Henry Davis is there, the catcher out of Louisville, that a lot of people consider the best college bat out there. I think if he's there, that's going to be the guy too. But I could also see, I mean, I'm hearing Colton Cowser's name mentioned, the outfielder from Sam Houston State. You know, it's possibly a guy that you take and pay him under slot, and maybe you roll some money into a high school kid or 2 down the road somewhere in this 20-round draft this year. So I think a lot of options for the Orioles, but I mean, obviously they got to see what happens 1 through 4 first before they get to their spot. But I would not be surprised at all if Brady House, the shortstop, was the selection too. I know I hear a lot about Khalil Watson, but you know, nothing against smaller players, but you just don't see in the history of Major League Baseball guys that are 5'9" and less that have had a ton of success. Yes, you can name a handful, but there is not many out there.
Gavin Sheets called out on strikes. First came for Watkins today.
Well, Watkins continues to use the inside part of the plate with his fastball, but that's a really good breaking ball. And that's a knee buckler right there. Watch the knee buckle. Ooh, got him right on the inside part of the plate, and a nice curveball by Spencer Watkins.
And as we go back to the shortstop piece of it, you know, if you find the right high school player, they can still move through the system pretty quickly, especially if you get somebody at number 5.
Yeah, they can move quickly. And when you talk about shortstops, and you're seeing a lot of college programs drafting high school shortstops, because typically your high school shortstop is your best athlete on the field. And that doesn't mean he's always going to be a shortstop. You can take a shortstop, you can move him to third, to second, to the outfield if he's athletic enough. So, you know, you can't have enough shortstops come out of high school and come out of college, because you can plug these guys in multiple positions.
I mean, just take Ryan Mountcastle, for instance. He was drafted as a shortstop, and now he's in the major leagues. You know what he can do with the bat. Playing some first base, play the outfield, designated hitter. And I think with Henry Davis, too, if he is there and that is the decision you decide to make. That's ripped out to left. Ryan McKenna can't get there. Hits up against the wall, and Sebi Zavala will check into second base with a double.
Yeah, Zavala came in hitting 143. Exit velocity right at 105. I thought McKenna maybe had a shot at this at first. It's another breaking ball, but this one not quite as good. This one kind of spins right in the middle part of the plate, and off and running is McKenna, trying to get it to the backhand side. He can't get to it, and you knew once it got past him, it was going to be an easy double.
So a man in scoring position now for Tim Anderson, but go back to what I was saying about Davis. He's a catcher, and a lot of people are wondering, well, why take a catch when you just took Adley Rutschman? If he is the best player available, then you can find another spot for him on the field, or it's not the worst thing in the world to be able to develop 2 catchers who might be on your big league team at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it never hurts. And if you feel like you got too much of one thing, that's when the trades come in, when you're looking for maybe a starting or a frontline pitcher down the road somewhere. So you develop the guys you get, you make them as best you can. You hope you bring them to the big leagues for you, but if not, they're part of potential trades down the road. And you know, when you talk about Davis, he's an interesting guy. Although he's a catcher, the arm is gigantic, they say, and he runs actually a lot better than what most catchers run.
This is called foul.
So he's a plus runner. I don't know that you could project him maybe in left field, maybe in the outfield somewhere, but still, if the bat speaks and the bat works like we're hearing it works, yeah, that could certainly be number 5 for the Orioles.
Best college hitter from the start of the season to the end of the season, out of Louisville and playing in the ACC, one of the best college conferences in America. 1 ball and 1 strike against Tim Anderson. Zavala down at second base. The Orioles with their 2-0 lead off of the Hayes home run in the first. Ball 2. Against Anderson, trying to extend his hitting streak to 12 games. He was originally a first-round pick, 17th overall, out of East Central Community College. It's down in Mississippi.
That's right.
Fouls this one away, 2-2.
And you mentioned college, you know, and we talked about this as well the last couple of days, you know, with the draft coming. And on big league rosters this year, opening day, 63% of guys on the big league roster came from either a 2-year or 4-year college program, you know, and I think that's another reason why you're seeing a lot of kids going the college route as well.
Down the right field line, foul ball. Anderson stayed back, but sent it a little bit wide of the chunk.
Well, Anderson can hit. I mean, he can use the whole field. That's how you hit as high as he has. I mean, the average well up over 300 the last 3 years. Matter of fact, he has the highest batting average in baseball the last 3 years. 3 for 4 the first night here with 2 RBIs, 1 for 5 last night with an RBI. But he'll spray it. Orioles have him pretty much straight up in the infield, but Cedric Mullins shaded a little bit toward right center in the outfield.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out. Well done by Spencer Watkins, coming to the inside part of the plate.
Love it. Love this. 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It's below big league average, but you know what? He doesn't care because he has command and confidence. And look where Severino is set up, and look where this ball is delivered. Perfectly placed on the inside part of the plate. So after a cutter away, you come back. You come all the way across the plate, some 18 inches, and spot a fastball right on the inside corner.
So it sends Yohan Moncada up to the plate. Walked, but was thrown out trying to move up to third by Hayes. Ball 1. Getting an update on Ryan Mountcastle. Left the game with a left forearm contusion, x-rays negative. So good news.
Well, and a blessing, the All-Star break too coming, right? So he's got a chance 3 or 4 days, 5 days here to kind of, because certainly probably one of those contusions or bruises, whatever you want to call it, that yeah, he wouldn't be able to play tomorrow or maybe the next day. But with the All-Star break, may get back in time to get back in that lineup. And you just get the feeling if Mountcastle's healthy, he's going to have a big second half for the Orioles.
Starting to see the walk numbers go up in the month of July. American League Rookie of the Month for June, and especially with the Home Run Derby coming up tomorrow, I think at some point you're going to see Ryan Mountcastle in one or multiple Home Run Derbies. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I agree.
Moncada checks his swing, and it's 3-1. This is what Yohan Moncada does. He makes you work. Sees a lot of pitches, walks a lot. Last year didn't play his best after he got COVID right before the start of the season, but 2019, the American League leaders in average, on base plus slugging, triples. And a nice first half. Full count.
So first base open, you're not wanting to give in. 3-1 count. Instead of throwing that fastball, he just gets a nice breaking ball. Kind of a get me over breaking ball to get right back in the count 3-2. Now if you're Moncada, you have no idea. Is it going to be another breaking ball? Is he going to come back inside with the cutter?
He's struck out Sheets and Anderson so far. Can Watson K the side here in the third? Grounded foul. Moncada has made Watkins work more than any other hitter in this game. It's already seen 14 pitches total from Spencer Watkins in his first 2 plate appearances. Another 3-2. And it's in the dirt for ball 4, and so Moncada reaches via free pass. Hey, O's fans, the Trey Mancini Home Run Derby special offer sale starts Tuesday, July 13th at 8 a.m. for discounted tickets to the July 24th game versus the Nationals. The further Trey advances in the Derby, the more you save. Plus $1 from every ticket sold will benefit Colorectal Cancer Alliance. Learn more at Orioles.com/flash. And yesterday, Trey Mancini was out of the field before the game, working on his swing and getting ready for the endurance race that is the Home Run Derby.
It's kind of what it's turned into.
I mean, you and I were out last night, and you made the point, I think, hitters go in for batting practice. They're what used to seeing about 7 pitches at a time,
right,
and then bouncing out.
And they rotate out. Somebody else comes in. It's kind of what they do, 7 or 8 swings, and all of a sudden you get to a home run derby, and you got to swing a lot. What is it, in a minute? They get so many swings in a minute, whatever you can get to, and so you know the mechanics begin to break down a little bit. So it's something a little bit different. So Trey Mancini, I mean, working on things as well, getting ready for ball games, but also taking a few more swings in succession, I guess. You know, just trying to get a feel for what it's going to be like.
Inside out and foul. It's very different from how the Home Run Derby worked when it was held here at Camden Yards. But probably a better thing too. It makes it more exciting. Fans get more into it. There's not that long lag time in between, because it just got to a point where it kind of turned into a bit of a slog. But now that you have those time rounds, it makes it a lot more exciting, and it's going to be great to watch Trey in the Home Run Derby.
See a lot more balls leave the ballpark. And in Colorado, you know it's going to be flying. Boy, Watkins just continues to use the inside part of the plate.
Goes back to that fearlessness that Brandon Hyde talked about after his first start against the Blue Jays. The White Sox have made him work. He has thrown 54 pitches so far, but trying to get out of the 3rd inning unscathed. This will be the 28th pitch for Watkins in the inning.
Well, this is just typical White Sox offense. I mean, this is kind of what they do to you.
Up and in.
They just don't chase many balls, and they're very patient, and they look for the ball kind of out over the plate. And when you can make some pitches on the inside part of the plate to them, you can have some success. And Watkins has been able to do that today. You can already tell what the game plan is right from the beginning, and that's work a lot of balls on the inside part.
2-2. Zavala is at second after the double, and Moncada after the free pass at first. Bounces this one in, it kicks away, and both men move up on the wild pitch.
Boy, this is one of these tough ones. Really no chance for Pedro Severino on this one. This ball, watch where this one hits. Well out in front of home plate. It's a slider. That ball, what, a good 3 feet out in front of home plate. So this changes some things now. I mean, first base open, 3-2 count to one of the best run producers in baseball since 2014. Of course, you got a guy on deck in Goodwin that's had a really good series, though. 4 for 5 last night with a homer and 3 RBIs.
3-2. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks by Watkins, coming with 2 outs.
Yeah, a lot of pitches this inning. I see Chris Holt come out and just kind of give him a little bit of a breather, let him hit the reset button.
And a big thing for the White Sox in this series has been big innings. Yesterday they had 3 different multi-run innings, and then in the game on Friday they had 3 different multi-run innings. They came into this game having outscored the Orioles by a combined 38-11 in the season series. And it all starts with being able to get base runners. And as we've heard Brandon Hyde say before, when you have a big inning, what is usually included in there? A couple of walks. And so Watkins is hopeful he can navigate around Goodwin with the bags packed.
Yeah, and the way they've scored all their runs, or not all their runs, but a lot of their runs this year, and the reason why they're so good is hitting with runners in scoring position. You mentioned earlier, they're right at the top in the American League, runners in scoring position, and they've done it in this series. I mean, game 1, they were 5 for 16. Last night, they were 6 for 14 runners in scoring position, so those are big numbers.
And there's Goodwin, career with the bases loaded, 6 for 16. Couple of home runs. He's had a good series at the plate, and he hits with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Strike 1.
Good news for Spencer Watkins is he just 1 out away from getting out of this. And this is really when you really get confidence and you grow as a pitcher. When you get yourself in these kind of jams against this kind of offense and you find a way to navigate through it, the confidence really grows. That's 2 really good pitches. So strike 1 with a fastball, and he cuts this one. Watch the location of this. Look where Pedro Severino sets up. You don't think the command's pretty good today. It's really good at times. I mean, perfectly placed. So 0-2. Now can he finish?
And Moncada in a tough spot. Had Abreu in a tough spot. Close, but outside. Ball and 2 strikes against Goodwin. Zavala, Moncada, and Abreu on the base paths. Severino with a good stop. He's just looking for that put-away pitch.
Yeah.
And that's something that when you come up to the major leagues, it can take a little bit of time to find, especially against a lineup like this where, Moncada won't give in, Abreu won't give in, and now Goodwin, a veteran big leaguer, the 2-2 count.
Oh, this is your action count. This is where you want to make it happen as a pitcher. 2-2.
Fouled away.
And see, this is where you'd love to have a changeup you can count on, because he's done so much work. And if you look at all of Watkins' pitches, they're all moved right to left. So when it comes out of his hand, the fastball's got a little cut to it. Then he's got the slider going right to left. The curveball goes right to left. He needs something going left to right. And if you had a good changeup here, you could throw it, on the outer part of the plate and have it go down and away.
Out to center field. Mullins there. He gets out of trouble. Watkins loads up the bases. White Sox don't score. Orioles up 2-0. Gives up the double, couple of walks, but Goodwin lines out. And despite a lengthy top half of the frame, it is still a Orioles lead of 2-0. And here's a look at their all-stars. Cedric Mullins going to Colorado. 105 hits on the year, leads the Orioles in all these categories. .313 batting average. Great work with runners in scoring position, and he's done it all when you consider that a couple of years ago he was down in Bowie trying to figure everything out. This is a guy that, a former 13th round pick at a Campbell University. And a guy like Cedric Mullins is a reminder of just how hard the game is, and that you never are sure when you're going to experience the highs and the lows, and it comes down to how you get through the lows, and Mullins did.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think a lot of athletes, it happened for me. You go back to college my freshman year, and I came out of high school and never really failed at anything in my life. Won a state championship, drafted out of high school, went to LSU on a basketball scholarship. But I get to my freshman year at LSU, and we make it to the College World Series. And I'm a hometown guy. And we show up at the College World Series. We win a couple games, we lose one, and all of a sudden, Coach Bertman brings me in relief as a true freshman in a big-time situation. We were up 3 runs at the time. I quickly hit the first batter, and the next pitch I threw went for a grand slam out to left center field, and my hometown team was out of the College World Series, and it was my fault for the first time. And I questioned, like Cedric Mullins, like John Means, like Spencer Watkins at times, you question whether you belong or not. And it is hard the first time you fail. And I failed on the biggest amateur stage you could fail on. And I didn't know if I wanted to continue playing baseball. I felt that bad about it. I said, well, you know what? I'm playing basketball. Maybe I'll just give it a shot with basketball, you know. And I was supposed to ship off to the Alaskan Summer League like 7 days later. And I was supposed to go play summer ball for the first time. And I called Coach Bergman. I said, Coach, I don't know if I want to go or not. You know, I don't know if this is for me or not, you know. And he said, Ben, you got to get right back on the horse. You got to go again. And so I finally made my mind up. I said, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to Alaska, and I'm going to try to put this behind me if I can. Well, I didn't know it, but Coach Bergman called the summer league coach and said, listen, when Ben lands, you got to get him right back on the horse. He's got to pitch game 1. So they picked me up at the airport, and lo and behold, coach says, Ben, you got game 1 tomorrow night. And the last pitch that left my hand went for a home run. And I didn't sleep a wink that night. And still not sure I wanted to even pursue the game of baseball. That's how down I was about it. And I remember I was getting dressed before the game the next day, and the head coach comes in. He hands me a piece of paper. And all he says to me, he says, do you want to be remembered like this? And he gave me a piece of paper, and he turned around and walked off. And I was like, what is this? So I opened it up, and it's 30 minutes before game time. I'm about to go warm up. And the other coach on the other team thought it'd be funny if he wrote down the name Paul Carey, who Paul Carey is the guy that hit the grand slam off of me for Stanford. He thought it'd be funny to write that down 1 through 9 in the batting order. Well, Paul Carey, not only was he not on that other team, he wasn't even in the Alaskan Summer League that summer. So if you ever needed an extra kick in the butt and something to kind of get you over the top, I took it personal. And that's what I needed. So I folded up that piece of paper, and I started put it right in the top of my locker, and I left it right there. Well, about 2 hours and 30 minutes later, I had thrown a complete game shutout and punched out 14. And I went and got that piece of paper, and I said, go give this back to that coach over there. I told the bat boy, I said, you get this as coach, and you tell him I said thank you. And I didn't mean it sarcastically, but it was kind of what I needed as motivation to get over the hump a little bit. So we all failed, and Cedric's failed, and most games, if you play this game enough, man, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail on the biggest stage. And the question is what do you do after that? And I finally made my mind up, like Cedric did it. I wasn't going to let one moment define who I was. I wasn't going to let one pitch that came out of my hand define my career. And that's kind of where it was. And after that, it was, you know, it was still not easy at times because I came up here at a young age and failed up here too on a big stage. But, you know, you're tougher for it. You get through it, and you learn as you go, and you understand that this game of baseball is a difficult game.
There's a half swing. This ball is picked up foul. I mean, that's just an incredible story. And honestly, it's the kind of story that if you're being drafted tonight, I think you would want to hear, because you're going to get to the major leagues, and some guys, it's a clear highway, and it's right there, and it's in front of you, and it's not going to take very long. Somebody like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and how he reached the major leagues. But, you know, there are a lot of stories, and guys like Cedric Mullins who come up, they reach the big leagues, they have some maybe initial success, then they struggle. Some might really struggle. They go down, they come back, and we've heard it over and over again in the first half. Guys who go down, they can still come back, and they can still be all-stars.
Yes, they can.
Mullins has been.
This game is about adjustments, and when you get to this level and you figure out what you're doing is not going to work, you got to make some adjustments, and you can't be afraid to make adjustments, you know. And Cedric Mullins is one of those guys, you know, and his story is so good to me. I mean, you're the starting center fielder 2 years ago in the big leagues, and not only do you get sent down, you make your way all the way to Double-A. And how easy would it have been for Cedric Mullins to say, you know what, I just don't know. I don't know if it's for me. And then you make it back the next year and you're a starter, and you go down again. And yet here he is, an all-star this year.
And you know what? His dad told him when he was younger, just keep putting that log on the fire. When something doesn't come out the way that you want it to, put it on the fire, make that intensity a little bit greater. Mullins has seized it. Hayes pops this up. Sheets makes the catch. And there's one gone. Hey, Birdland, watch the O's take on the Washington Nationals July 23rd through the 25th. first 15,000 fans 15 and over who attend the game on Friday, July 23rd will receive an Orioles vintage tee. Plus on Saturday, July 24th, the first 20,000 fans 15 and over who attend the game will receive a Jim Palmer bobblehead. Purchase your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets. Ben, how many Jim Palmer bobbleheads do you have at home?
I think just one, but I plan on having one more.
Yep, I think we all do. So make sure and come on out for that. It's great to see everybody at the ballpark yesterday for the Birdland Hawaiian shirt. Fun day, a lot of folks out at the park, and another nice day for baseball before we go into the All-Star break. Santander yanks it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. So an even count against Anthony Santander. But when he has gotten hits recently, they've generally gone for extra bases. 4 out of the last 6 hits that he has have gone for extra bases. 2 homers, 2 doubles.
Yeah, he's still trying to find his timing. I mean, we've seen spurts of it. I think the bat speed's starting to come back when he does time it up.
Mullins goes, pitches down, no chance. Sebi Zavala, it's a stolen base for Mullins.
Boy, Mullins got an outstanding jump, and there was no way his 16th bag of the year. So 16 home runs, 16 stolen bases, and look at that jump. That's a good 6 or 7 steps. Then Zavala kind of right here can't quite make the transfer from glove to hand.
A 2-1. Now a chance for the Orioles with a man in scoring position, and wouldn't mind adding to this 2-0 lead. Actually, not a whole lot of success in this department.
No, not compared to what the White Sox have done. Orioles, what, 2 for 17 in 2 games combined, runners in scoring position.
Close but inside. 3-1. A 3-1. Valenka for the Orioles is next. Remember, Mountcastle exited the game due to injury. Left forearm contusion is what we have heard, but X-rays came back negative. Santander out in front of it, and it moves the count full.
It feels like Dylan Cease for me is kind of like Tanner Scott. It's almost like it's a big arm, but I think he trusts his off-speed stuff more than he does the fastball from time to time. I don't know what you guys saw from him, you know, back on May 27th when he was really good against the Orioles, but I feel like his fastball command is not good. I think it goes with how many hit batters he's got this year. And I went and looked last year. He had 7 batters last year as well in 30 less innings than what he's got this year.
Tomahawked foul down the line. And Mel came on, and she made the point after Mountcastle got hit. Since May 11th, he has hit 6 batters.
And again, last year he hit a lot of batters too for a shortened season. I'd be willing to bet the majority of those hit by pitches probably is coming on the fastball, like we saw Mountcastle get hit. Because he was down 3-1 to Santander, and it's been back-to-back all-speed pitches.
Santander goes up the ladder, 98 from Cease.
There's that good fastball. Now it's not a strike. But back-to-back breaking balls, and he goes just about 10 inches above the zone with that good four-seamer. Look, it's 98 miles an hour, and not many going to catch up to that. That kind of velocity in that part right above the strike zone, almost no chance.
And you brought up his last start against the Orioles, and while we mentioned all the swings and misses he got off the slider, it was really the fastball which was the difference maker for him in that outing, where he produced 29 swings and misses, a career best.
And every day's a little different, you know, and yes, that's your job as a starting pitcher, to kind of figure out what's working that day. And some days maybe the fastball command is good, and that's a pitch you use the majority of the time, and others it could be the off-speed pitch.
Now here comes Pat Valenka. for the first time today. To come on when Mountcastle exited the game, so he is at first base. Mullins down at second after he stole it. And Valenka is late, strike two.
Cease had a wonderful April, pitched to a 2.9 ERA, equally as good in May, pitched to a 3 ERA. Now in June, he won more games, won 4 games, but the ERA was right at 5.
In 3 of his last 7 starts, he's given up 6 earned runs. Valenka checked his swing.
Yeah, overall, he's been good this year. I mean, you look at the full body of work, so 13 of his 17 starts coming in this game, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. And that's what you're looking for from a starting pitcher. Go out there and give the offense a chance. And we talk a lot about this offense. You know, this offense is going to score runs. And that's why you don't have to be perfect. And every pitch doesn't mean the ball game, you know, in this situation when you have a good offense behind you. When you're not scoring runs, man, it's really tough to pitch as a starting pitcher because you know that every pitch that leaves your hand could be the difference in the ball game.
I'm sure it must be easier to pitch with a lot of confidence for a lot of the guys who are in the White Sox starting rotation. I mean, Lance Lynn, the season that he's had, you have Carlos Rodon, who's thrown a no-hitter in the first half of the year. Dylan Cease, but it has to feel especially good if you're a younger pitcher when you know that, hey, I have one bad inning, but offense is capable of putting a crooked number on the board. 1-2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the White Sox do at the end of the year this year. Of course, they're trying to get into the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year, which they've never done in the history of their organization, to get in the playoffs in back-to-back years. But Lance Lynn and Anthony Rodon are both free agents at the end of the year. So it's interesting to see if they try to sign one or both back, because you do have a couple youngsters. We've seen one of Michael Kopech could go back into the rotation next year. You got Garrett Crochet, the hard-throwing left-hander, could be a guy too.
Valenka shoots this one deep left center field. Adam Engel, just enough room, makes the catch, and the inning is over. So Mullins with the walk. He steals second, but is stranded there. It's 2-0 Orioles. Committee on Trauma are here today as part of the Orioles Heroes Corner Community Initiative that recognizes and thanks frontline heroes. And it's because we've had all the frontline heroes doing tremendous things over the last year that we're not only playing baseball, partner, but we're playing baseball with fans in the stands, and it's been the best thing about the 2021 season.
It's been awesome. You know, and we had a huge crowd last night. I mean, biggest crowd of the year, over 26,000, and it felt like, to me, it felt like for really the first time, like Oriole Park at Camden Yards, with a nice crowd and a baseball type atmosphere. It was really nice.
So the Orioles, they have a 2-0 lead thanks to the Hayes home run. Watkins pitched out of trouble in the last inning. As Watkins, he gave up a double, couple of walks after he was ahead of Moncada and Abreu, but Goodwin lined out. So as he comes into this 4th inning off of a lengthy 3rd, what kind of adjustments do you want to see him make?
I think you hit the nail on the head. He's been able to get ahead, but finishing sometimes for him can be an issue. And that's because he doesn't have what we call a killer pitch or an out pitch. Like, he really didn't have a I'm going to finish you kind of pitch. He's not a big strikeout guy. I mean, you mentioned numbers at AAA Norfolk this year. They were good, only a 3.5 ERA, but just 27 strikeouts in 32 innings pitched. You know, and 526 strikeouts in the minor leagues and 100 more innings than that. So he's not a big strikeout guy, but he also reminds me of a veteran pitcher that's been in the big leagues for a while. Like, he just understands who he is. He's not going to give in. If I got to walk a guy, I'm still going to make you hit my pitch. And it almost felt like that's kind of what he did with Moncada and Abreu when he walked him back to back. Was he got him in 3-2 counts, but really didn't want to give in and fished a little bit. They weren't biting, and so he ended up walking him, but found a way to get out of it.
Engel pops it up, shallow right. Hayes racing in, gets there for out number 1. The 4th inning of Orioles baseball is brought to you by the Toyota RAV4, with reliability and value that fans can count on. Go Toyota, and let's go places. 1 out, 4th inning. Jeff Arnold, Ben McDonald, Melanie Newman with you. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday wherever you might be. The Orioles are trying for a win to close things out before the All-Star break, and then the Orioles are headed to Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. Leury Garcia takes a breaking ball from Watkins for strike one. Go to Kansas City, then to Tampa Bay. Kick things off in the second half.
Be nice and warm out in Kansas City, I imagine.
Sure, the barbecue will taste nice and good. I don't think it'll taste as good as Boog's, but it'll taste really good.
Hard to beat Boog's barbecue.
2 strikes against Leury Garcia, who grounded out to third base his first time. Watkins sails it high.
You know, and talking about tinkering with stuff, watch Watkins' delivery. You know, this is what nobody owns, so he almost sets up in like a stretch position, and he comes set, and then he kind of begins a little mini windup after that, and that's something that he just feels comfortable doing. It's something about rhythm, and whatever he's doing right now, it's working, because that's a really good breaking ball. Watch the spin on this thing. There's the forward spin. It's in the zone, and boy, that vertical drop, the depth of it. Straight down, and boy, you can see Garcia not happy with that breaking ball.
Spencer Watkins.
Yeah. Command not great in the third inning, but boy, comes right back out here in the fourth inning and gets a quick out on a fly ball and a strikeout.
Out to left field. It's deep, and it is now a 2-1 game as Andrew Vaughn takes Watkins deep.
That's what you call an advanced approach for a 23-year-old kid. So Watkins just pounded Vaughn inside the first at bat, and he gets a weak fly ball to right field. But this time you could tell 0-0 count. Andrew Vaughn says, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance. You're trying to come inside again. It's an 0-0 count, and I can take that chance, because if I'm wrong, I got 2 more shots at it. And watch this fastball. Now, it doesn't quite get as far in as where he wants it. It's inner third, but the bottom line is Andrew Vaughn looking this time for the ball in. So he made an adjustment from the first at bat to this at bat, and Spencer Watkins quickly knew it. He turned around and asked for another baseball well before that ball even hit the seats.
And Vaughn is in one of those stretches right now. He's got 3 homers, 6 RBIs in his last 12 games, slugging .528. And that's low to Gavin Sheets for ball 2.
Well, Andrew Vaughn, a lot like Ryan Mountcastle. He's going to play this game for a while. I mean, the bat works. Made the transition from first base at Cal, where he was drafted. Now he's out in left field.
Very well could say the same thing about Gavin Sheets, whose dad Larry joined us on the broadcast yesterday. Well, you're never quite sure when you're going to reach the major leagues. I mean, you had a sense that this was a very special player when he was at Wake Forest.
Yeah, and you know, Gary, or Larry rather, he knows. You know, I mean, you don't know until you know. I mean, I think you see it sometimes, and you project kids out and you say, yeah, he's a big leaguer, but you don't know until you know, until it actually happens.
Here's Larry Sheets, former Oriole. Strike 3 call. So Watkins gets the strikeout, but Vaughn with a solo shot cuts the Orioles lead down to a run. It's 2-1.
XM Futures game out in Denver as well. Adley Rutschman, he's got plenty of reason to smile today. Not only is he the top-rated catcher in minor league baseball, one of the top-rated Orioles prospects, he is the cleanup man in the lineup today. He's the starting catcher, a game that is just 24 minutes away from first pitch. And of course, you also can't forget the other Orioles prospect, Marcos Diplan, a great write-up from our own Rod Kubatko and Steve Molesky with all the coverage, of course, on MASNsports.com. But what a day for baseball, guys. There's just stuff all over the place, and a great chance to celebrate what's coming up for the Orioles.
I agree. I mean, it's a wonderful day. I mean, a lot of kids. I mean, think about all the kids that are anxiously awaiting the draft, and you're an amateur player right now, and the dream is going to come true one of these next 3 days for so many kids, an opportunity to play professional baseball.
Arias hits it out to Tim Anderson, and they throw him out, 1 gone. Birdland, experience an O's game with the convenience and privacy of your very own suite. A variety of affordable single-game suites throughout the ballpark are available. Enjoy exclusive access to the game with climate-controlled interior seating, a private restroom, and comfortable outside seating. Visit Orioles.com/suites for more information. And you were once in their shoes, partner, where dreams came true in a very big way. 1-1, and Adley Rutschman, the other 1-1, playing in that Futures game today.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of kids out there that know they're going to be drafted, and they're glad to get it over with. And there's a lot of kids out there on the bubble, you know, and hoping their name is called in the next 3 days with just a 20-round draft. At least we went from a 5-round draft last year to 20 this year. I don't know if we ever go back to what it used to be when we'd see over 40 rounds occasionally, but even the ones that don't get drafted, there's hope, you know, and there's hope to sign a free agent contract and have an opportunity as well.
Yeah, we are not going to see somebody taken in the 62nd round anymore, like Mike Piazza, for instance, once was. 62nd round pick, and now he's in the Hall of Fame.
You got to think, when you get down to the 62nd round, you're just flipping coins and just throwing your gum up on a chart, and whatever name it sticks on, that's the one you're picking. I mean, how do you know it after 62 rounds?
Yeah, the draft is definitely, it's been cut down. Rana Heidi mentioned the draft before the game today, and talking about some of the different things that he was looking for, and guys who want to work, guys who love to play the game.
But all you got to do is come out early as McKenna walks. All you got to do is come out early and watch this Oriole team. And if you think they're feeling sorry for themselves because they've lost 60 games, you're wrong, because they are out early every team, taking BP. They're taking ground balls. They're getting better every day. They're not sitting back and feeling sorry for themselves. And I love that about this team. And I think it starts with Brandon Hyde. I mean, there's no quit in them. Of course, the hardest thing for us as fans is to wait. You know, that's the hardest thing, is waiting for this rebuild to continue going and shape up. And in a couple years, the Orioles are going to be competitive every day. There's no doubt about it. And the hardest thing is waiting right now. But I love the fact they're putting in their work and they're going about their business, and everybody's trying to get better every day.
And it has been that way really for the last couple of years, and the results haven't been there. But when you're seeing the effort is there, I mean, that says a lot, because there's some teams that could very well be in this position where it could be an entirely different story.
Sure.
And you are hopeful that, I think in particular, you're going to be able to get some more out of your starting pitchers in the second half of the season, just because bullpen has been worked so hard and has pitched so many innings. But it will help to get John Means back for sure.
Exactly, and that's a big point to it, is that when Means comes back, you hope he's going to be close to the guy he was before, and eventually be that guy where he would have been an all. Let's not forget, John. I mean, I think with John Means being on the IL, we've kind of forgotten a little bit about the numbers he was putting up. He would have been an all-star, no doubt, too, if he would have stayed healthy, and he was that good. But at least, hopefully, he'll be one of those guys that can give you 5, 6, or 7 every time out and rest the bullpen a little bit. And you need to have a couple of those guys. But there's no doubt there's going to have to be some others in this rotation that steps it up a little bit in the second half.
Leyba takes strike 3 from Cease. He's got 5 punch-outs in this game.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of work with the breaking ball. And watch this one. This looks like kind of a back door. So starts it, boy, how about that pitch? Starts it right on the outside corner. Look at that forward spin. It is very, very tight. And I'm going to tell you, you can't do it much better than that.
5 strikeouts, a couple of groundouts, 4 flyouts. Orioles with a 1-run lead after Vaughn's home run in the top half of the 4th. Strike 1 to Severino. John Means he's going to make one more rehab outing for Norfolk. It's going to be in Memphis, and he started for the Bowie Bay Sox on Friday. 3 innings, gave up a couple earned runs, a couple of home runs, but came out feeling good.
McKenna's thinking about it at first. He is trying to time it up, because if you watch Cease, he's got a pretty high leg kick. Like, he's not really slide stepping. Cedric Mullins stole the bag easy. McKenna, above average runner as well. Yeah, that's a pretty good lead.
doesn't go in the 0-2 high.
Here's going to be your pitch to run on. 1 ball, 2 strike count. He got ahead 0-2, so he wastes the fastball up to change the eye level. And if he keeps doing what he's been doing, kind of the same pattern, you very well could see one of those breaking balls here.
One, 2. Again, he holds, and Severino goes down on strikes. So a couple of breaking balls would strike out Leyba and Severino at the end of 4. The Orioles up by a run. A happy early birthday to longtime Orioles fan Bob Wells, who is celebrating his 100th birthday this Thursday, July 14th. Bob served in the Army during World War II, worked as an engineer at NASA at Goddard for more than 40 years, and played in the Frederick County Marching Band until he was 92 years old. Thanks for your support, Bob. You have a great birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Fantastic.
100th birthday. What would you do with yourself, Jeffrey, if you lived that long?
I think I'd learn how to play a musical instrument or two.
And be marching in the band at 92?
Marching in the band. I'd probably learn how to play the piano, maybe learn a foreign language. What about you? What would you do if you made it to 100?
Probably not any of those things. I'm just really not into the piano, and
you don't have to learn how to play the piano.
I just like the one language that I halfway know.
I mean, you have more talent around the house and being able to fix things than I will ever have. So you're always going to have that on me.
Well, I got a lot of practice. I think everybody got a little practice around the house during COVID doing certain things.
Yeah, I once saw one of the videos you posted where you had like a backhoe and they're trying to move something or some kind of piece of heavy machinery. And I'm like, man, I could barely operate my car, and you can operate that?
It can get dangerous. You got to kind of take your time with heavy machinery. But I enjoy that kind of work. I call it work. It's not really work. It's just being outside doing things.
But I still want to know what things you want to be able to do if you were to make it to 100. I mean, for me, I think it'd be cool to learn how to play the piano or the guitar or something like that. Fouled back, 2-2.
Paul Fry, the left-hander, getting heated up. That Oriole bullpen. Watkins now at 81 pitches. Boy, if he can navigate through this 5th inning and just give up the 1 run, then a high percentage of strikes, really 51 strikes and 81 pitches.
The most problematic inning for him was the 3rd, where he threw over 30 pitches but still managed to strand the bases loaded. He's given up the homer to Vaughn, but nothing else. And remember, only one pitcher this week has completed 5 innings, and his name was Spencer Watkins. Out to center field. Mullins tracks it down. 1 gone. Hey, O's fans, experience one of the Oriole Park at Camden Yards' best values in the Pepsi all-inclusive picnic perch. Offer includes access to the exclusive club level, plus unlimited food and beverage, including hot dogs, ice cream, nachos, Pepsi products, and more. Learn more and purchase at Orioles.com/Pepsi. And Spencer Watkins, he will hand things off, and Paul Fry entering the game. 1 out, 5th inning. Orioles 2, White Sox 1.
For Spencer Watkins, and a good day it was. The breaking ball was really good. He used the fastball a lot on the inside part of the plate. Used that little backdoor cutter as well. He wanted to come inside like he did to Gavin Sheets right there. Big smile from skipper Brandon Hyde as he punches out for it. Here your PNC inside the numbers. 4 1/3, 4 hits, just the 1 run. That was a solo home run by Andrew Vaughn, and it wasn't a bad pitch. Walked 3, pitched around a little bit of a jam in the 3rd. Struck out 4, and there he is. So what a start to his big league career it has been. 2 starts now. He's only allowed 2 runs, and he'll give way to Paul Fry, making his 34th appearance. Very good ERA, 3.6. Opponents hitting just .209 off the left-hander Paul Fry.
And he's going to come on with the top of the order up. And he'll miss outside to Tim Anderson for ball 1. Anderson has flied out, and last time Watkins struck him out. That is lined past Gutierrez in the left. So Tim Anderson, he extends the hitting streak with that base hit. It is now up to 12 games.
Yeah, he can hit, and it is a short, flat swing. There's no bottom or top to bottom swing. Look how flat that swing is. I mean, just gets the hands. Watch the bat just travel right through the zone. I would have loved to seen Spencer Watkins try to get through the 5th. You could tell he wasn't real happy. He wasn't going to argue, but he was not happy about coming out.
And what we've seen is that tighter games, then maybe they make the decision to pull your starting pitcher, and it's part of the reason why you don't have a lot of guys who have worked a lot of innings this year. But even in spots where, let's say it's been a 4-0 game, you have seen a lot of instances where you're making the decision, get to 4 innings to maybe go to the bullpen and try and figure things out. You're getting 3rd time through the order. You bring on Fry, one of your key leverage relievers.
Yeah, but there's going to come a point in time, if you're really going to evaluate what your future is, you're going to begin to put guys in a little bit tougher situations, and you're going to have to say, okay, I'm taking the gloves off a little bit here and show me what you can do as we get to the 5th inning. Because as this organization gets better, it's not going to be any more 4-inning for our starters. It's going to be, you got to give us 5, or you got to get into the 6th, or even sometimes better than that. So at some point, you're going to really, when you get to the next level of evaluation, can you navigate through a lineup 3 times? Because that's what we really need you to do ultimately.
2 balls, 2 strikes against Yoan Moncada. 2 free passes and a lot of pitches seen. Fry just misses inside. So now it's run full. He has been here now for the 3rd time. Anderson's on at first base. Orioles with a 2-1 lead. Brandon Hyde hopeful that this game will stay where it is. Perfectly placed, strike 3.
Well, there's the Paul Fry we saw early in the year. The ability to stay right down to the bottom of the zone with that fastball. It's a good fastball. It's a good slider. When he's at his best, he's using that fastball right at the bottom of the zone. You see Pedro Severino gets his thumb underneath it and sticks it right on the bottom of the zone for the 2nd out.
You're not out of the woods yet. With Jose Abreu's ability to drive in runs, a single and a walk for him today. Looks at strike 1. Mm-hmm. 0-2. So Fry 0-2 against Abreu. What are you going to here?
Well, it's been back-to-back fastballs, and I don't mind another fastball because that ball caught right at the top, but I'm not throwing a fastball for a strike. I'd love to see another one just about 6 inches above that last fastball. Hopefully you get a swing and miss, but if you don't, maybe you come back with the slider.
There's the fastball a little bit lower, and it twists foul down the line. No balls and 2 strikes against Jose Abreu. They're trying for their first win of the season today against the White Sox. Slider bounced in. Severino blocks it.
And that one looked like it got Severino's hand, his throwing hand, too. So slider really nowhere close to the zone. Severino to his right. Yep, that kind of goes right off the hand.
Not an easy job being a catcher, is it?
It looks easy from up here sometimes, but it is not easy.
Especially in this day and age where pitchers are throwing harder than they ever have. The spin is what it is.
The control maybe not as good for some. Just never know where the ball is going to go.
1-2. Put him away. Nasty pitch by Paul Fry.
Boy, you can't do it any better than this. Watch this slider. So he missed bad with the first one, but the location of this one, hard right in and underneath the swinging bat of Abreu. Orioles with a 2-1 lead.
Another angle from the T-Mobile coverage cam. There is a young fan with some Ben McDonald-like dance moves right there. We know you've got the best dance moves on this entire broadcast crew. I think actually Mel's got the best dance moves, but you're close. You're close.
I'm a close second.
Here's Kelvin Gutierrez. Oh, ball one. Fastball command from Dylan Cease has occasionally been a little shaky today.
Yes, it has. And that's nowhere close. I mean, look where the target is. Target's on the outside. You're talking about a miss of about 3.5 feet. And then he does that to you, and that's not even fair. So you get 95, 96 right up around your ear hole on the helmet, and then he just throws a breaking ball right perfectly to the outside part of the plate. But certainly one of those guys that you don't really want to dig in on, because he's not doing it on purpose, but sometimes with the fastball, he just doesn't quite know where it's going.
Gutierrez fouls this one down the line. And in a way, I guess being effectively wild is a good thing, especially when you have this stuff like his. I mean, the downside is Trey Mancini got hit in the elbow, suffered an elbow contusion. Mountcastle has to leave today with a forearm contusion, but it's tough when you start the sequence like you did against Gutierrez. That's hit on the ground right at the second baseman. Leori Garcia takes care of Gutierrez, and there's one out. Hey, O's fans, you have the opportunity to win a box of definitive collection baseball cards, a top swag bag, and other prizes by entering the exclusive baseball card sweepstakes presented by Topps. Enter by 11 p.m. on Sunday, July 25th for your chance to win. No purchase necessary. Learn more and enter now at Orioles.com/Topps. Cedric Mullins has singled and scored. And then he's also walked and stolen a base. Takes in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Said that he had that hit earlier, which gives him 106 hits prior to the break. Trying to become the first Oriole to either lead the AL or be tied at the break in hits. The American League since Cal Ripken, 1991, and then Brooks did it twice, and then Paul Blair did it once back in 1969.
Let's see, 91, that was the MVP year for Junior, I think.
1-2 on Mullins. That one just missed him.
Talk about a guy, Cal Ripken Jr., a guy that never was afraid to experiment, especially with his batting stance. And there's another breaking ball. This one starts right at the right knee. Mullins just getting out of the way. Yeah, Junior seemed like he had a different batting stance about every 2 months. You know, one time it's in the crouch, next time he's straight up. But he just felt like he could get rhythm by changing it up a little bit.
Mullins down the line and left. It goes foul. Mullins, he may not have changed his batting stance, but huge adjustment coming into spring training when he decided to go exclusively left on left for the first time since his junior year of high school. It's been one of the more impressive things he's done is the way he's hit left-handed pitching.
Yeah, and if you talk to him, I mean, he's told us a couple times, I just felt like it simplified things for me. I could just focus everything on one side of the plate instead of spending, you know, half of my time on the other side of the plate. Nobody knew how successful, you know, going into it. Nobody really knew what was going to happen. Felt like he'd probably hit the right-handers pretty good from the left side, but nobody knew that he'd hit left-handers as well as he's hit them this year.
Here's the 2-2. Out to center field. Angle giving chase on the warning track. Flags it down. Mullins puts a charge into it, but Adam Engel retires Mullins as Dylan Cease, for second thinking maybe Mullins had an extra base hit.
Boy, it sounded good coming off the bat, but just not quite enough of it. Biggest part of the ballpark out there going towards 410. Well, the Orioles got 2 quick ones on Cease, but since then there has been nothing. You get a leadoff bunt single by Mullins, and then Austin Hayes hits his 9th home run to right center field, and since then Cease has really had it on cruise control. Oh, first changeup we saw. 76 miles an hour. Doesn't use it very often, only about 10% of the time. It's been that fastball and both of the breaking balls, a slider and a curveball.
Hayes fouls it upstairs, and to go back to him settling in, the last hit that the Orioles had was Austin Hayes' 2-run homer. Remember, Mullins had that bunt single lead off the game, but Cease, in spite of some occasional issues with command, a couple of walks thrown in there, only 2 hits allowed, but the Orioles leading by a run because the one hit was a homer. Outside, 2-1.
Now, the Orioles are going to have to keep scoring runs in this one if they want to win this one, because there's no doubt this White Sox offense is going to be really tough to shut them down the rest of the way. Let's see, Cease is up to 83 pitches now.
84 is in for a strike. Two and two against Austin Hayes. Cease has had only 1 1-2-3 inning in this game. Hayes hits it on a line, but right at Garcia. He makes the catch. A couple of well-struck balls by the Orioles in their half of the 5th, but they don't score. Still, though, leading by a run.
It was Austin Hayes in the first inning. Watch this catch. Gets behind the ball. Moncada trying to go to third base, and Austin Hayes says, not today, and he's tagged out and gets the Orioles off the field, and then he steps to the plate. In the bottom of the first inning, the first pitch he sees, inside out swing off of Dylan Cease. It goes to his 9th home run of the year. That would put the Orioles up 2-0 at the time. The Orioles still in front, 2-1.
And there is Austin Hayes, the last Orioles hit. It's given them this 1-run lead. Now Paul Fry, who came on in the last inning for Spencer Watkins, who went 4 1/3. Fry struck out a pair. A look at Goodwin with the bases clear. And there's strike 1. Goodwin has lined out twice in this game. It's been tough to keep him in check in this series. Fry, this is wide with a slider.
Yeah, I went back and looked, and what's kind of strange about the White Sox, we talk about their lack of home runs, dead last in the American League. I went back and looked last year, and that was only a 60-game season last year, but they led the American League last year in home runs. So you go from first place last year in home runs to dead last in the American League this year. It hadn't affected their offense a whole lot because they can beat you so many different ways.
And they've got Michael Kopech now throwing in their bullpen. Strike 2. I just nicked the inside corner.
Yeah, that's one of those front door breaking balls as a hitter. No chance on this one because you see the ball. It's a ball out of the hand. You can see even a little bit of a flinch by Goodwin. I'm not sure he came all the way back, but Paul Fry gets the call.
Hit into the shift. Arias right there, and he throws out Goodwin. Adam Engel is coming up next, and partner with the White Sox too. I mean, they come in today 7.5 game lead in the Central, second place Indians, and they've done it without Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Yasmani Grandal just got injured. There's Ethan Katz, pitching coach for the White Sox on the right, who played a big role in helping the starting staff get into a great spot, and then the way Tony La Russa has managed the White Sox.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people jumped up and down and screamed and hollered when Tony La Russa came out of retirement and took over the White Sox. They was like, no, this is not going to work. But you know what? proof's kind of in the pudding, and they've had an outstanding season at this point. You mentioned 7.5 game lead that they are up on Cleveland. Cleveland, of course, lost 9 in a row, but they have won their last 3. So Cleveland's starting to get it going a little bit, and maybe.
Angle, he got hit in the hand.
Fastball right on the inside part, and this is off the back arm. Yep, forearm. Yep,
yeah, arm. You mentioned Cleveland, who's gotten back into a little bit, but the White Sox still, they've been in first place for 67 days, second most number of days in first place in a division in the major leagues this year. And you got to remember, the White Sox, they haven't won a division title since all the way back in 2008.
Yeah, we saw that stat. It amazed me. They've never been to back-to-back playoffs in the history.
I found that extremely hard to believe.
There's Cole Sulser getting heated up in that Oriole bullpen.
Doesn't get the call there. 2-0. Pitch that we have seen Nestor Ceja call a strike in this game. So 3-0 with Vaughn, who has the White Sox only run with that home run in the 4th inning, due up next. At 23 pitches, he's thrown 11 strikes, 12 balls.
Well, that's kind of been the knock on Paul Fry lately. It has been the lack of control. The control's not quite the same as of late.
And he throws one high for ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk. Fry has not thrown a strike to the last 2 that he's seen, and that's going to do it. As Brandon Hyde coming out of the dugout, knowing what Vaughn can do, having the home run earlier, knowing the run of success that he's had. And Cole Sulser is coming into the game. Fry did a good job to strand an inherited runner in the last inning, but it's 2 1-0s. We're still in the 6th.
Cole Sulser will take his place. We saw Cole Sulser in game 1 of this series. Came in a really tough situation, 1st and 2nd, and nobody out, and got 3 quick outs. But then he went out for the next inning and walked the first 2 and out of the ball game, and both of those runs would come around and score. But he's been really good this year. 3 for 3 in save opportunities. Opponent's batting average just .205 off the right-hander Cole Sulser. It's a good fastball load, sometimes in the mid-90s. A little slider breaking ball. And kind of his out pitch this year, especially against left-handers, has been that split finger fastball.
1 ball, no strikes. We saw Cole Sulser earlier on in this series, and he retired all 3 that he faced in the 5th, stranded a couple of inherited runners, but you go to that 6th inning and was not able to record an out, hand out back-to-back walks. Both ended up scoring, as that 6th on Friday for the White Sox was their big inning.
Well, careful here. Got to be really careful with Vaughn. He showed you his last time up when he hit the home run. It's a really quick bat.
Two 2-0. It's this one foul. Makes it out of play. 2-1. A really quick bat. Not a big guy. He's only 6 foot. And he grew up, his favorite player was Dustin Pedroia. Sulser delivers wide. 3-1 now against Andrew Vaughn. At the bottom of the order for the White Sox, but we saw in the first game of the series that the bottom of the order can be productive for them. Gavin Sheets, he's new to the big leagues, but he's got some power. He's in the on-deck circle. Out to right field, it's deep. Hayes runs out of room. So Vaughn, he hits the homer in the fourth. He adds a 3-run shot here in the sixth, and the White Sox jump out in front.
Well, it's just too hard. It is too hard against an offense like this to pitch from behind. And I don't care who you are. You're constantly going to be 3-0, 2-1 to these kind of hitters. You're going to pay for it. 3-1 pitch, got to throw a strike. It's a fastball, pretty much middle, just the same pitch that he fouled straight back just a pitch before, and he powers this one out to right center field. And Andrew Vaughn, now just 23 years old, has 10 home runs on the year and 26 RBIs.
And now you deal with Sheets. I mean, in the last 3 hitters that have come up between Fry and Sulser, you've seen only 2 strikes thrown, and the last one left the ballpark.
You just got to pitch from ahead. I mean, that's the bottom line.
A 1-1 against Gavin Sheets. First career multi-home run game for Vaughn. Line foul, 1-2. So now for the Orioles, you're playing down a couple of runs, and a bullpen for the White Sox, as we have seen, that is a pretty unrelenting.
Yeah.
He's been on a good run.
It's a stingy bullpen, 5th best bullpen in the American League, with some big arms.
One of those big arms in Michael Kopech, we saw a little while ago, was throwing.
And this is a good example of staying in the ball game. You know, Dylan Cease has kind of fought and he stayed in the ball game. He's been behind the whole game. First 2 batters of the game he got behind, and now he's in line to pick up a win.
Sheets clubs it to center, but Cedric Mullins will get there. 2 outs.
The deeper as a starter you can pitch, if you're hunting wins, you got to be able to work deep in the ball game, because you just never know when your team's going to come back and score some runs.
And pushing his starters, that's something that Tony La Russa has done since taking over. Going to ride those guys a little bit longer. Cease, the fastball command has been shaky today, but makes that mistake to Austin Hayes. And Tony La Russa, White Sox manager, has done a very nice job in the first half of the year.
You know, let's be honest, though. It makes it a lot easier to ride those horses when you got horses, too. And there's some horses here. I mean, you talk about Rodon and Lance Lynn, both All-Stars. Of course, Keuchel, 2-time All-Star, Cy Young Award winner. Giolito and Cease. So that's your 5 guys. That's 5 real dudes.
Fouled away, no balls and 2 strikes. A team that is built to win right now. And you brought it up yesterday, defensively, some things that they're probably going to work on a little bit to clean up, but do all the little things offensively. They get walks, they get on base. Starting pitching staff is great. Bullpen really good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only one thing to pick on, and that's that defense.
Now 2 strikes against Sebi Zavala behind the plate today. Doubled earlier and then lined out to center field in the 5th. Tapped foul. Zavala came up just recently to place Yasmani Grandal, who underwent left knee surgery on a torn tendon in his left knee earlier in the week. He suffered the injury on Monday against the Twins on a check swing. Spoils another pitch from Sulser. High chopper out to short. Ramon Urias is there, throws out Zavala, but Andrew Vaughn with his second home run of the game, a 3-run shot, has the White Sox out in front 4-2. All the way from Japan, my first Orioles game. Well, welcome to Camden Yards.
Wow.
That is a long way.
That's a trip right there. Well, Dylan Cease, his fastball command wasn't great today. We did see it up to 99, but the difference was the breaking balls. Both that slider, that one there. He did elevate one time to Santander, but that breaking ball, the curveball and the slider is kind of what he did his work with the majority part of the day. He came in with 111 strikeouts. This is Dylan Cease's line on the day. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. They both came on the second batter of the game. Austin Hayes' home run. Walked 2, struck out 6, 85 pitches, 54 strikes, and he'll give way to Michael Kopech, the hard-throwing right-hander. It's a triple-digit fastball with a breaking ball, an occasional changeup, making his 18th appearance. Look at that ERA, 1.57. And opponents are only hitting 171 off the right-hander, Michael Kopech.
He's going to face 3, 4, and 5 in the Orioles order here in the 6th. Santander, Valleca, and Urias. Remember, Mountcastle started the game for the Orioles, but had to leave due to a forearm contusion after he got hit by a pitch from Dylan Cease. And so you'll face Kopech for the second time in this series. Pitched an inning the other day, Friday night, struck out the side.
Yeah, it was up to 100 miles an hour doing it too.
Entered the year ranked as the #2 prospect in the White Sox system. So he'll face Santander, who's grounded out and struck out. That fastball is over for strike 1. Santander drives it foul, strike 2. And we mentioned just how good the White Sox bullpen has been. Lately, they've been very stingy. These 10 games, 2.87 ERA. They average 10.5 strikeouts per 9. And it's because he can throw pitches like that.
Yeah, you get 98, 99, so back-to-back fastballs get an 0-2, then he just bends his slider in there. That is a really good one. You talk about good depth to it, and when you got to gear up and hit 98 and you spin that one in there, so it's about 18 miles an hour difference between breaking ball and fastball. Very difficult to navigate.
So 1 out, and it brings Pat Valleca up to the plate. In addition to the fact that they strike out a lot of hitters, they don't walk many either. Valleca fouls it away.
Yeah, 4th fewest walks as a pitching staff in the American League, but the most strikeouts. That's a pretty good combination.
And the relievers have walked 104 batters, 2nd fewest in the big leagues. The only team that has done better is the San Francisco Giants, and what a first half they've had. Valleca pops this one up behind home. Zavala runs into the net, out of room.
Yeah, the Giants got off to a good start. I think a lot of people thought they were going to go away. They have gone nowhere. They've just gone to first place, and they just kind of stayed there. Just above the Dodgers. See Zavala going back, and this ball hits just on the edge of the net. Look out. Well, you want to be close to the action, don't you?
Seby Zavala coming right your way. Outside at 99. Barely. Yeah, that National League West race, that's going to be one that'll be a ton of fun to watch for the rest of the year. Strike 3.
Well, all Michael Kopech does is strike you out. He faced 3 in the game earlier in this series. He had 3 strikeouts, and here's another one too. Good 4-seam fastball. Not only is it high octane, but it's right on the outside part of the plate. I mean, just on the corner.
So he's faced 5 in this series, and he struck out 5. Brings up Urias. Ramon Urias. Multi-hit games coming left and right. Had another one of them yesterday for the Orioles. 5 in his last 6 games, but fly out and a ground out. Takes low, 1-1.
Well, there's Tanner Scott, a hard-throwing left-hander. So Michael Kopech up to 100. Tanner Scott could very well get to triple digits too.
Breaking ball tied him up. It's ball and 2 strikes against Urias.
Yeah, and you just wonder what the future is for Kopech. They got him to be a starter, and of course he had the elbow injury and had to get that thing well, but since coming back he's been really good. He looks pretty comfortable in the role that he's in right now.
And we've discussed how they've had him in the bullpen. There are times where they've started him maybe in the second game of a doubleheader, so perhaps getting him ready for a role in the rotation down the road. But how much help does that starting rotation for the White Sox really need right now?
None. It doesn't need any help. But you just don't know. I mean, it'd be very rare for your entire rotation to make it through 162 games without a bump in the road somewhere, an injury. This would be certainly a pretty good choice if it was to happen. And heads up in the booth here. Catch it,
This
Jeff.
one is a little short of us. I needed a fishing net to get
I like
that
it.
one.
At least you weren't running from it. You actually went towards the ball.
I had the arms out. I was ready, but it didn't make it to me.
I'm not going to say who it was, but ran from a ball in here.
I think I might know.
I mean, got up as fast as I ever seen him move. Like he was out of the seat before you could say move.
Michael Kopech, he struck out the side Friday, and he strikes out the side in the 6th inning today. White Sox leading 4-2 going to the 7th.
Top of the 7th, Cedric Mullins gets set after today's game to head to Denver to compete in the All-Star game this year. And while it is certainly deserved, Ben, you made a really good point earlier talking about trying to find your place and what happens when you're challenged. Well, for Cedric, he's been pretty open about the fact that taking over for someone as beloved as Adam Jones weighed on his mind a lot. And it played with him at times on how he was supposed to accept something so big on his shoulders for somebody who not only was a stellar All-Star caliber player, but who was also in the community as well. And Adam Jones identified that before he ultimately yielded the position to Cedric. He saw what Mullins was capable of, and he said this was somebody he wanted to make sure he took over the reins after he stepped aside. So for Mullins' very first start, this is now becoming a more widely known story, Jones stepped aside and he forced Mullins out of the dugout first to lead out the rest of the team onto the field here at Camden Yards, because he said, look, it's not mine. It's time to pass the torch, and you've got to learn, and that starts with this very first step out. You are out here in front. And Mullins has been very open about the fact that not only has he learned so much from him as a player, but he's the reason why Cedric wants to connect with the community in Baltimore as well.
That's a good point. You know, when you try to live up to expectations or you try to fill certain shoes, and let's be honest, Adam Jones, big shoes to fill, and one of the better outfielders in the history of the Orioles, and did it for a long time. And when you try to live up to those expectations, but at the end of the day, Cedric Mullins finally recognized, you know what, I got to be me, and I got to go do the things that I do well, no matter what the expectations are. And it took him some time to figure it out, and it does take time at the big league level. But you just love where Cedric Mullins is, the confidence, and you could just tell he had his chest stuck out in spring training this year. You could see he was a different guy, a guy that came up a couple years ago, and you could just tell he was wondering if he really belonged. The body language is a little bit different now. When he steps to the plate now, you know, and he slowed it down, and we've heard him talk about that. A really good slider by Tanner Scott for a strikeout. But we talked about, you know, Cedric Mullins just realizing who he is and figuring it out. Well, that's what Tanner Scott can do to you. We talk about a big breaking ball, or a big fastball rather, but he can spin this one in here too. And that's the one that's just not hittable, because it almost starts out of the zone in the opposite batter's box, and he sweeps it across the zone and underneath the bat of Anderson.
Strikeout per 9 for Scott of 13. That is hit on a line to Urias, who moves over to make the catch. All-Star break begins tomorrow. Join us again Friday, July 16th. Birds open up a 3-game set in Kansas City. Coverage on MASN 2 begins at 7:30 with O's Extra, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, followed by game coverage at 8 o'clock. We've got all the excess you need right here on MASN. Here from Melanie Newman, Ben McDonald, Jeff Arnold with you. Final game before the break. It's a 4-2 White Sox lead. They've gotten all 4 of their runs courtesy of Andrew Vaughn, a 3-run homer and a solo shot back in the 4th. Abreu fouls this pitch away from Tanner Scott for strike 1. The Orioles runs off the long ball from Austin Hayes back into the 1st inning. You're now in the White Sox bullpen, trying to keep it close. Abreu has singled, walk, and was a strikeout victim. Outside, 1-1. That is a ground ball to first base. Valleca backs up, and he'll solo to the bag himself. Tanner Scott, 1-2-3 against Anderson, Moncada, and Abreu. Time to stretch at Camden Yards. 4-2 Chicago. And we welcome you back to Camden Yards, everybody. Jeff Arnold, Ben McDonald with you. And it's been a first half for the Orioles that has featured a guy going to the All-Star game in Cedric Mullins. Really excited to see. He's been one of the best players in baseball so far. You've got Trey Mancini's going to the Home Run Derby. It's been so great to have him back. And then additionally to that partner, you've got all those major league debuts that have taken place. And perhaps the best thing I think for everybody is that you have fans back in the stands. And that's what's made this baseball season feel normal after last year was far from it.
No, I agree. I think for me is, you know, like last night we had 26,000 plus here. And for the first time in a couple years, it really felt like Oriole Park again, you know. And you're seeing a lot of guys getting opportunities, guys making their MLB debuts. And what's cool about it now when you make your MLB debut is you get to do it in front of your family this time. Last year, a lot of guys made their MLB debuts, but family couldn't come to the ballpark, so it was really difficult. But now there's people in the seats, and I think that sticks out. I think John Means, the M&M boys, Means and Mullins, of course, Mancini, and what they've done this year, those are kind of things that really jump out at me. And Mountcastle's coming on. Of course, Austin Hayes has had a big day, so not a whole lot of surprises on that end. But it's been a, you know, the numbers, the wins haven't been there this year for the Orioles, but you understand where they are right now. Development is the key, and evaluation is the key at the big league level. And Cody Hoyer is in lead for the White Sox. We saw him as well earlier in this series as well. He worked one perfect inning.
That came in the game yesterday after Michael Kopech, the inning before, struck out the side. So Kopech, 6 batters faced and struck out everyone. His 2 innings of relief over this set. McKenna has gotten on base once via walk. It's out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. We're talking about the Orioles. They're getting ready to draft tonight, and they might go the college route. They might go the high school route. That's where Ryan McKenna came from. He was a 4th-round pick out of St. Thomas Aquinas High School. That is in New Hampshire. And that's outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And you know, he spent most of his time growing up in Maine, and you don't see a whole lot of players drafted out of Maine, especially when they're high school players. But he actually did hear from Ryan Flaherty, the former Oriole, when he got drafted, and said, hey, welcome to the club, welcome to the organization. And a good development story. Took him some time to reach the major leagues. Being a high school draft pick, you figure it can take a little bit longer. And now here he is, filling a variety of roles in the outfield.
Yeah, when you play high school baseball up in that part of the country, there's not a big window to play. I mean, it takes a while for the weather to get nice enough. And when you're a player coming, especially a prospect from up that part of the country in high school, you just don't get a lot of looks. I mean, you almost got to be summertime when you get with your travel ball team, and maybe you travel, down south to the bigger tournaments in Georgia and Florida and other places to really get seen.
And sometimes when you play it includes shoveling snow before you take the field.
Got to get the snow and the ice off the field first.
Something that you never had to worry about.
No, and look, we see it in college baseball all the time because the college baseball season starts in mid-February, and it's great for all the teams down south because the weather's good enough to play. But the teams you see from the Midwest, are not the teams that you're going to see 2 months later when the weather starts to warm up. So a lot of times you'll see teams like Notre Dame come down, and Maryland and other teams will come down, and they don't look very good. That's because they hadn't been outside yet. They've got no reps outside. Everything they do is inside in January and February, and the season starts. But then you see them come playoff time, and they're completely different teams as they begin to catch up.
McKenna earns another free pass. And so the Orioles, they have the leadoff man on base. Baseball's two biggest events of the summer, back-to-back. The action begins at the T-Mobile Home Run Derby on ESPN, July 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then catch baseball's biggest stars, the 91st MLB All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard, July 13th on Fox. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. And first up, Trey Mancini will be in the Home Run Derby tomorrow, getting his work in yesterday as he prepares himself to see if he can win a Home Run Derby crown. Half swing and a foul into the dugout for strike one. Chuck Ristano, his pitching coach when he was at Notre Dame, is going to throw to him, and Chuck was on with Paul Mancano on the pregame show earlier, and so that's a really cool thing to have. At the very least, that the guy who's going to be pitching to you was pitching to you when you won a Home Run Derby earlier. That was when Mancini was in the Big East at Notre Dame. 1 ball, 1 strike to Domingo Leyba. And then today, Mel talked about it earlier, you've got the All-Star Futures game. Adley Rutschman behind the plate to start, and then you also have Marcos Duplan, who's going to be pitching in that game.
Getting word Rutschman flew out in his first at bat to left field. He led off the second inning and flew out.
There was a piece on MASNsports.com. Steve Molesky talking to Buck Britton, who's Rutschman's manager down at Bowie, and asking him for the second half of the season, what are you hopeful to see from Rutschman? What do you maybe want to see him continue to improve on? It's just getting reps, playing games, making adjustments. Golf to left center. Vaughn converging with Engel, but Engel takes charge. 1 out.
That's got to be a fun team to go watch play, the Bowie Bay Sox. I mean, there is a lot of talent on that roster.
Garrett Crochet is warming up in the White Sox bullpen, and Buck Britton said in the article that he's still waiting for Rutschman to get hot. I mean, the numbers have been really good, but still maybe waiting for him to bust out, which is kind of a scary thought when you consider just how good that team is, with Grayson Rodriguez there now and putting up good numbers, and then DL Hall, it sounds like, is going to be getting back to action pretty soon, which is really encouraging.
Really, really good news.
No balls and 1 strike. Mel?
Well, yeah, guys, I've gotten to go to a couple Bowie games this year on my off days, which I may or may not have gotten ridicule from you from, Jeff. But it's a trance to see those guys, as you just mentioned, with Grayson Rodriguez and Adley Rutschman. And something to keep in mind with Adley right now, we've heard, players, if they're trying to focus on one thing, whether it's offense or defense, the other can kind of end up taking that back seat, needing a little more time to come along. Adley's come into a moment over the last couple weeks where, with several pitchers being promoted to Norfolk, he now has a new staff that he's had to really work through understanding not only their communication rhythm, but just how to be a good catcher for them, because they're newer guys for him.
And you know that he supports his pitching staff really well. I mean, you've seen it where inning comes to an end and Rutschman goes out and he's there to meet his pitcher and go off the field with him. And it's just one of those things that he's always done. It's a great leadership quality, and that's exactly what you'd want from a guy that's going to be your catcher in the future. You want your catcher to be the leader. He has to be the leader of your infield for sure. And that's one of the things that you like. A lot of things about Adley Rutschman, a lot of things, but that's the one thing I really like as a pitcher, the way he handles the pitching staff and the way he communicates and communicates during the inning to his pitcher. Because that's one of the most important things to me is that, you know, I got to know when we get into it, we get into battle, that you got my back, you know. And I know there's going to be days where the stuff's not good, but I need you to come out there and tell me how good it is. And I know you're lying to me, but that's okay. That's okay. Not like Chris Hoyles did to me one time. I think the first pitch I gave up was a double of the game. The next pitch was a single. The next pitch was another single. And Dick Boswin, the pitching coach, came out and said, "Okay, let's get going here. Let's figure some stuff out. Holy, what kind of stuff's he got?" And Hoyles looked over at Dick Boswin and said, "I don't know. I ain't caught one yet." 1-2. They get one. They won't get Severino at first base. Moncada fielded it. Took him a little bit of time to get it started. Yeah, ball not hit really hard enough to turn too. A few extra steps. You see, it took him Moncada a little bit of time to kind of get his feet under him and make the throw, and it wasn't a great feed over to second base to Garcia, who quickly turns it, but not in time. 2 outs in the inning now, and here comes Gutierrez. Takes a look at strike one from Cody Hoyer. Born in Missoula, Montana, lived there most of his life, and then actually moved to Fort Collins, Colorado when he got to high school. Gutierrez checked his swing, 1-1. Not going to steal many bases off Hoyer, because if you watch him, he's a tall, lean guy, but there is no pickup with his front leg at all. It's almost a slide step every time. I mean, he just barely picks it up and gets it to home plate. It's just a step and go. 1-2 now against Gutierrez. Remember, that was the adjustment that Tanner Scott made a couple years ago, was getting away from the high leg kick. Felt like the rhythm was a little bit better. Last spring training, they got him to go into the load and go. I think it was a game where Orioles were playing the Pirates, I believe, in spring, and they said, "Hey, try this slide step down the rubber," and he realized that my command's a lot better and I don't lose any velocity. Taken outside, 2-2. That is spiked in, and so Severino, he'll move up a base on the wild pitch. Not much of a chance there for Sebi Zavala. Yeah, this is a real wild pitch here. Just yanked all the way in the opposite batter's box. So here the Orioles are again, runner in scoring position. Not done much in this series. 0 for 3 today. 2 for 9 last night, 0 for 8 in game 1 of this series. And Gutierrez had the multi-hit game on Friday, but has not gotten any hits since. Been sent down in his last 6 at-bats. Hoyer with a 3-2. And it's a comebacker. Hoyer has got it, and he'll underhand to first. Inning over. Severino held up at second base. White Sox leading by a pair. We move to the 8th. Ceremonial first pitch today. Ronnie Potter Jr. He began working as the assistant manager of groundskeeping at Memorial Stadium in 1991. Followed the team to Oriole Park, when he continued his work until 2000. His most memorable moment with the O's came in 1995 when he drove Cal Ripken Jr. around the field in a red Corvette after Ripken's 2,131st game. Brain and lung cancer took Ronnie Jr. earlier this year, but in memory of his son, here is Ronnie Potter Sr. throughout today's ceremonial first pitch. Got it in there to Austin Wins, and very cool moment before the game today at Camden Yards, and great to have Ronnie Potter Sr. out with us this afternoon.
Oh, that is a cool story.
Tanner Scott stays in the game. White Sox up 4-2. As all the runs in this game for the White Sox courtesy of Andrew Vaughn. All the Orioles runs courtesy of Austin Hayes.
Yeah, it's been a strange game for the Orioles. First two batters of the game.
2 hits.
Cedric Mullins and Austin Hayes hits. A home run by Hayes, and not a hit for the Orioles since then.
Meanwhile, the White Sox kind of just picked up steam as we have gone, as they have individual hits in every inning but the last one, which was pitched by Tanner Scott, who went 1-2-3 and throws a good slider. 2-1 against Goodwin. Spencer Watkins, 4 1/3 innings, a 1-run baseball today, kept the O's in the game, but 3-run homer in the 6th inning by Vaughn has lifted the White Sox to a 2-run lead. Until it ceased, 5 innings of 2-run baseball for Chicago. They've gotten scoreless innings from Hoyer and Kopech out of the bullpen. 2-2 against Goodwin with the shift on, and he grounds right into the shift. Ramon Urias on the case, takes care of Goodwin. Next one up is Adam Engel. Tanner Scott, we have seen some ups and downs from him this year. We've seen some really good. The strikeout rate has been up there. The walk rate has been a little bit high, but there have been moments of just utter dominance from Tanner Scott. I mean, you go back to the 4th of July against the Angels, inning and 2/3, tires all 5 batters he faced. You go back to Houston when the Orioles were there, an inning and 2/3, 4 strikeouts. He's been able to roll over innings a little bit more frequently, and it just remains about consistency for Tanner Scott, because when he is on, he is as tough to hit as anybody in the game.
Oh, when he's on, you're right. It's as dominant as you will see in Major League Baseball, because it's a triple-digit fastball from time to time, and then the slider's even better than that. And you're right. It's about, and early in the year and last year. Look, last year he really turned the corner for the first time, I felt like, and was the most consistent he's been in his career. Then he began the year pretty consistent. It's kind of been up and down a little bit, but it's certainly the kind of arm that you keep running out there, and you hope that eventually the consistency gets a little more consistent.
I mean, he's got that slider that he throws, which it's one of the best swing and miss pitches probably in baseball, when he has got it going right and when he's locating his fastball. I mean, the swing and miss on that pitch, it's over 50%, which is absurd. And Tyler Wells, it's been a nice surprise in the first half of the year, and he has shown tremendous stuff. Now, Tanner Scott, when he locates and he gets ahead, good luck. That's pulled on the ground at third. Long throw. Gutierrez on the money. Got him.
Cannon. We heard the defense could get a little shaky, but they said one thing that never fails him is his arm. It is as big an arm as you'll see coming across the diamond. This is a ball all the way to the backhand side, but watch him put his foot in the dirt and push off of it. And I mean, that play not even close. Watch him set the right foot. There it is, a good push.
That's a rifle. Garcia up with 2 outs. He came home on the Vaughn homer in the 6th. Swings through that slider, strike 1. Now he places it bottom inside edge of the zone, strike 2.
Everything working today for Tanner Scott, including the control of the fastball.
Buries this one. 1-2. Inning in 2/3. I mentioned for Tanner Scott. This is tied a season best for him. He's jumped ahead of Garcia. A couple of outs on the ground, 1 strikeout. 1-2. Rides the fastball and misses.
Well, and 2 of the arms I think you could talk about. If you look into the future for the Orioles, I think the guy you're still on the mound right now and the guy warming up in the bullpen are 2 guys that you could very well see pitch a long time in an Oriole uniform and be at potentially at the back end of a bullpen.
Down the line, it's a fair ball. Hayes over to retrieve it. Now Garcia goes back to first base. Well, you got to remember that earlier today you had Moncada try and move up, and he learned the lesson the hard way. And so after Garcia took a wily turn, he'll retreat and stay on base with a 2-out single.
Well, this is all Austin Hayes, and because of his speed, and he can really run, he gets to this ball. And look, he was almost shaded a little bit toward right center field, but he gets it. And right there, Garcia says, oh, you know what? I'm going to put on the brakes and get back to first base.
Now, Tanner Scott, inning in 2/3, ties a season high. He exits with a runner aboard at first. White Sox ahead 4-2.
Put this one right at the top of the list. Tyler Wells, Rule 5 pick. Never pitched past AA in his career. Look what he has done for the Orioles. 26 games now, a 3.8 ERA. How about 39 2/3 innings pitched, 49 strikeouts, only 8 walks, all 6'8" of him. Tyler Wells.
And his 49 strikeouts lead rookie relievers. Even earlier on in the year, Ben, you know, when he was maybe giving up some home runs and things like that, he has always pitched unafraid, and that's been the most impressive thing I think about Tyler Wells.
He's got guts, you know, and this is going to be a good matchup here. Andrew Vaughn, 2 home runs today. He's responsible for all the 4 runs on the scoreboard for the White Sox. Good fastball hitter against a really good fastball pitcher.
And that fastball averaged about 95. The changeup and the development of that pitch has been fun to watch against lefties, and then more consistent with the slider over the last month.
Yeah, it's a real 3-pitch mix, because we've also seen the changeup very good at times this year too. I mean, when he gets that changeup going against the left-handers, he can turn it over and run it down and away.
Works with Garcia leading off at first base, trying to keep him there and keep this a 4-2 game. 2-0. Gets the call there from Seha.
And that's been the biggest improvement for me right there. Is you talk about giving up some home runs early and some runs early, but he left a lot of balls kind of middle part of the plate. It almost feels like he's kind of found his way with his mechanics a little bit more, and you don't see a whole lot of balls in the middle anymore. Even on a 2-0 count, he's got to throw a strike, and he just paints the outside corner. So command's been even better for me.
Yeah, the home run. He had a stretch after at the very beginning of the year. It feels like he made one bad pitch and it would usually go over the fence, but he recently saw a 14-game homerless streak come to an end after his June was fabulous.
Yeah, I don't think he walked a batter in the entire month of June. I mean, that's how good the control was.
Vaughn fouls it upstairs, 2-2.
Now you talk about hitting, you know, Mike Elias certainly, obviously it wasn't a draft pick, but well, I guess it kind of was, Rule 5 pick, but talk about having to hit with your picks and needing to, and Mike Elias certainly hit with this one, it appears.
Even count, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Garcia at first. Blew it by him.
Wow.
Andrew Vaughn Homers the last 2 times, but not here against Tyler Wells.
Oh, the big fella. How about 9-7? 97 miles on the outside part of the plate. White Sox up 4-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
On the Orioles, we start the bottom of the 8th. And for the first time in this series, we hear from Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, big left-hander out of the University of Tennessee just a couple of years ago. Went straight from the University of Tennessee to the back end of a bullpen. Left-handed, 6'5", hard throwing, another triple-digit guy. Velocity, breaking ball, and changeup as well.
So Crochet, he's going to be looking at Mullins, Hayes, Santander here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We've said it before, the Orioles, they've got 2 runs in this game on 2 hits, and both hits were the first 2 batters that the Orioles had come up in this game, and nothing since. They've gotten some base runners off of a few walks, hit by pitches, but Garrett Crochet, he'll be a test. Left on left test against Cedric Mullins, who has been very good against lefties this year. And Crochet starts him off with 95 inside. Ball 2. Crochet, he missed some time earlier on in the year with an upper back strain. Actually, they can hit 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, partner. With it. Look at that leg kick. I mean, as a hitter, that's got to throw you just a little bit.
I mean, you think of high leg kicks. Think of maybe Jim Palmer a little bit with the height of that leg kick.
Yeah, but he don't throw as hard as Palmer did.
Line foul, 2-2. Even count against Mullins. Moncada backs away. Mullins does have a bunt single in this game. And Crochet wins this battle, 96 right by him.
A lot to navigate through with that windup. Arms, legs, and then on top of that, how about 96 miles an hour? Just a good 4-seam fastball, and you can see just past Cedric Mullins.
You brought up Tennessee to the big leagues. First player from last year's draft class to make his big league debut, and the first major league player to debut in his draft year since a guy by the name of Brandon Finnegan with Kansas City back in 2014.
That's right. Finnegan was out of where? TCU, and he went straight to the big leagues. Pitched to the playoffs, didn't he? Were they the playoffs that year?
He was in the
Straight
playoffs.
from college to the playoffs.
And Crochet did the same thing.
Here's a look at the delivery. Watch this. Watch this leg kick. And it's weird, too. It's almost stiff-legged as he comes up. Most pitchers are going to lead with their knee as they come up with their knee. He almost leads with his toe. It's stiff, and then he bends it and gets it back in position.
To the hole, it's short. Anderson gets it there to Sheets. 2 outs.
Boy, you know it's the big leagues. And Tim Anderson can do it. He can do it on both sides of the ball. This is not an easy play. I'm talking about deep in the hole on the backhand side with a plus runner. He just puts his spike in the dirt and fires it across. And there's another big high leg kick. Our own Jim Palmer.
How the bobblehead looks.
See, his legs looked equally long in that one, you know, but the bobblehead, I don't know. One leg's a little longer than the other.
0-1 against Anthony Santander. Crochet buries this one. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And you know Palmer's out there listening somewhere.
Oh, he is. He doesn't miss a moment.
Let's see, 4 o'clock here, so 1 o'clock. He just got finished with lunch.
Hopefully it was good.
Well, you know it was.
Now, Jim, if you are listening, I had a couple of black teas just for you today. 1-2. And that is low to Santander. Santander goes down.
That's not fair.
Garrett Crochet, another tough reliever out of that White Sox bullpen. They've been good today, and it's 4-2 Chicago. Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Amentum, elevating government's most critical missions. Jeff Arnold, Ben McDonald, Melanie Newman will be along a little bit later with O's Extra. Two young Orioles fans. One brought his glove with him.
Yeah.
Still time for a souvenir if he doesn't have one already. And then fans are hanging out, watching this game. And we talked about it earlier. Best thing that we have gotten about 2021 is that the fans are back. They're in the ballpark after 2020 felt sterile and just weird.
Still seeing a lot of Hawaiian shirts out there too from last night.
I was driving over today, and I live just a couple minutes away from the ballpark, and I'm getting ready to pull in, and doesn't somebody walk by in their Birdland Hawaiian shirt?
There you go.
Tyler Wells, he struck out Andrew Vaughn, who stranded a runner on base in the last inning. And he blows it by Sheets, strike two. Tanner Scott inning and 2/3. That tied his season high. No runs allowed.
There you go. Matching Huggy. The one guy last night took the cake though when he cut the sleeves off of it, made a muscle shirt out of it, and then put it on his head.
Out to left. McKenna is there. That is still a look that I'm waiting to see from you at some point this year. I mean, I think you have more than one Birdland Hawaiian shirt.
I do.
And so I would like to see.
You very well may see that.
I would like to see you do that. You know, Jim Palmer modeled his on one of our broadcasts against the Blue Jays, and I would like to see you do that at some point. I think you would pull that off perfectly.
I'll come up with something.
I was kind of hopeful that you were going to do the Birdland Hawaiian shirt with a cowboy hat.
Possibility. Yellowstone's coming. It can't come soon enough for me, but it's coming.
That's it for a strike to Sevi Zavala for strike one. And more Birdland Hawaiian shirts. We're going to be seeing those all season long. Great slider.
Good fastball. And again, the location. Not only is the stuff good, but the location of the stuff is equally as good. Look at that. I mean, he starts it just on the edge after you throw a fastball out there for strike one, and you just break this one right off the plate to get a hit 0-2.
2 strikes against Zavala. Tried to paint it, missed by a little bit.
And that's perfect. That's right where you wanted 0-2. All of a sudden, you can see a young man starting to pitch in the 9th inning, and you wonder what the second half of the season holds. Will he be the closer? I mean, is he going to be that guy that's going to be the first time the Orioles get an opportunity in the second half to close out a ball game? Will it be the youngster Tyler Wells?
It's fouled back. I mean, 3 years that he's been here, Brandon Hyde has never anointed a closer. You know, last year it was Cesar Valdez for the most part when he got to the team, and this year he started as the closer, and it's kind of bounced around since. You know, we've seen Paul Fry in that role, but he said when we asked him in Anaheim, is Cole Sulser option A? He's like, no, I think could be a couple different guys, and Tyler Wells is one of the names that he gave as he strikes out Zavala. 2 Ks for Wells.
Well, I think he definitely has deserved the spot, and I don't think that moment's going to be too big for him. He has been through a lot. He's grown up this year, and I tell you what, 97 down and away. Can't go place it any better than this.
Sends up Tim Anderson. He'll take in the dirt. Anderson did extend his hitting streak earlier with a base hit in the 5th inning. 4-7-1 for Chicago, 2-2-0 for the Orioles. White Sox have left 6 O's 4. Well, it's 1 ball and 1 strike. I think one thing we do know about Tyler Wells, though, is Liam Hendriks warms up in the White Sox bullpen. Doesn't seem like you're going to be seeing him in the starting rotation. That might come down the road, but you just have to be extra careful with the innings limits, considering that Wells had the Tommy John in a couple years without pitching.
Yeah, similar to Michael Kopech's story, you know, and I think he's in the right spot. Now, you don't know what next year holds, and do you need more guys into the rotation or not? He looks awfully comfortable in the spot he's in right now.
And he go into the All-Star break on a strikeout. Remains 1-2 against Anderson. All-Star break starts tomorrow. Orioles will begin the second half of the year in Kansas City. Yeah, he finishes it off with a strikeout. Vintage Tyler Wells. Well done.
Well done again. And as Jim Palmer would say, Powder River right on the outside part of the plate. 9-7. Orioles need 2 to tie and 3 to win this one as we go to the bottom of the 9th.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Look at that. 2 kids, their first games. How about that?
Yeah. Won't forget that one. Orioles need some magic here in the bottom of the 9th, though, and it will not be easy. Because that man, Liam Hendriks, is in, making his 40th appearance of the year. 23 for 26 in save opportunities. We saw him work. And I can't believe that last number. 60 strikeouts and only 4 walks. And opponents are hitting just 170 off the hard-throwing right-handed Hendriks. I think he faced 4 batters. Picked up a save already in this series. Struck out 3 of the 4 that he saw. It is an upper 90s fastball. Breaking ball to go with it.
Billy Hamilton giving a ball to a fan. There you go. Something you'll never forget. As Hamilton has come on, he's going to play left field. And then Andrew Vaughn shifts over to first base and take over for Gavin Sheets. Now DJ Stewart, he's going to pinch hit against Liam Hendriks. Since Dylan Cease exited the game, Kopech a scoreless inning, Hoyer a scoreless inning, Crochet a scoreless inning. First one is fouled back, strike 1. He pointed it out yesterday that you add Liam Hendriks, closer in the offseason. Wanted somebody that could shore things up at the very end of the game, a guy that you know is going to get strikeouts. They had Alex Colomé, who's more of a ground ball guy, but still had a nice year last year with the White Sox. But Liam Hendriks, and he did last year, American League's reliever of the year. Hard to ignore, so they bring him on board. And as you went through the numbers, they tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a workhorse. Making his 40th appearance of the season already right here at the All-Star break. 60 strikeouts and just 4 walks. So it's not only his big-time stuff, but he can control what he has, and that's where he likes to live, right at the top of the zone with that fastball. pitch up there on purpose. He'll stay up there, and he'll throw that breaking ball right behind it as it comes out of the same arm slot, the same window.
Stewart takes close pitch. It's 2-2.
Yeah, could have been called, wasn't. Stewart gets an extra chance.
Two and two against DJ Stewart. And he went around. So Hendricks, he gave him the slider, and Stewart couldn't hold up.
Yeah. The difference is just too much, and that's the reason why he's had so much success. So when he can throw 97 up in the zone, he starts this one kind of the same place, and look at the depth on it. He just bottoms out. Stewart tries to hold up his swing, but can't. And Hendricks just feels like one of those guys, you just got to go sit on one or the other. You know, either you go up there and say, you know what, I'm going to sell out for a high fastball where he likes to go with it, or I'm going to sit back and try to hit the breaking ball if he lands one for a strike.
3 1/3 innings by White Sox relief. 6 strikeouts. Ball 1 to Urias. Pointed out what they do as a pitching staff in the strikeout department. They have K'd 12, walked 3, 2 of those coming from Dylan Cease.
That's what they do, right? I mean, they lead the American League in strikeouts as a staff.
It's a ball and a strike. And, you know, you discussed this yesterday about Liam Hendricks. It was not a straight road to get to this point. I mean, a guy that is an all-star. He's one of 4 all-stars the White Sox have. But DFA'd a bunch of different times. I mean, the Orioles had him at one stretch before he really broke out, and they designated him for assignment in spring training of 2014.
Talk about a guy that didn't give up, right? A guy that believed in himself. DFA'd 5 different times before he figured it out. And boy, has he ever figured it out in recent years.
All-star with Oakland in 2019. AL reliever of the year last year. All-star this season with the White Sox. He's ahead of Urias 1-2. And Urias chases the slider. 2-faced, 2 strikeouts.
Well, sometimes you just get overpowered, and that's kind of what's going on. You talk about Kopech, Crochet, Hendricks.
And you mentioned picking one or the other, and I think for Urias, he picked the other.
And sometimes you think you're picking one and you're really not. There you go.
That's lined back up the middle by McKenna. So Ryan McKenna, who faced Hendricks yesterday and struck out on 3 pitches, he turns the first one back around, and the Orioles, that is their first hit since the second batter that they had up when Austin Hayes hit the homer.
And here comes Trey Mancini, and there's your tie and run at home plate. And the Orioles have just kind of hung around in this one and have a chance.
He's going to be competing in the home run derby tomorrow, and he would like a home run before he gets to Denver. Two for 9 in the series. 15 home runs for Mancini for the break. And the 15 homers, second most on the team, only to Cedric Mullins, who's got 16. Fouls it away, strike 1. Be competing in the home run derby tomorrow night. Cedric Mullins will be competing in the All-Star game for the American League, so make sure to tune in to both of those. But facing Liam Hendricks here, representing the tying run. All the runs in this game, they have come on home runs. Outside, 1-1. There's Cedric Mullins, went through the ups and downs. 6 for 64 at one stretch a couple years ago. Last year was with the Orioles to start off the season. Sent down, comes back, finishes strong. Mancini pumps it to right. Good win. This one is gone. How about you, Trey Mancini? Tie ball game off of Hendricks.
Boom, boom. That's one way to get into the All-Star or the home run derby. Trey Mancini's had some struggles as of late, but another guy that just doesn't give up. His 16th home run of the year. Boy, and Hendricks had made Mancini look bad yesterday. Just blew 3 balls right by him, but not this time.
We're tied up. Severino, strike 1.
A good fastball, but instead of getting it up where he wanted, this one's kind of just above the knees where Mancini can get to it. How about that swing? Just barrels this one up, a no-doubt line drive right onto the flag court. And we're all square.
So it's 0-2. There's maybe one Achilles heel for Liam Hendricks is that he can give up the home run ball. It's a 7th one that he is allowed. And it has tied us up. 4 runs, all on homers. 2 in the first, 2 in the bottom of the 9th with the Orioles down to their final out. Severino went around, and so we have got extra innings, but thanks to Trey Mancini, we have got extra frames. Comes up to the plate and takes Hendricks deep. 4-4. Extras next at Camden Yards. Ties up the game with a 2-run homer onto the flag court off of Liam Hendricks, and it's a 4-4 game as we have reached extra innings. Some defensive changes for the Orioles. DJ Stewart is playing left field, and then Trey Mancini is at first base. Ryan McKenna's playing at third base for the Orioles. And then you've got Kelvin Gutierrez, the second baseman, as well. As remember, extra innings, you start off with the runner at second base. And so Yohan Moncada is going to start things off in the 10th at the plate. Anderson is the runner at second base, and Tyler Wells is going to stay in the game. Wells so far has faced 4, gotten them all, and has struck out 3.
Well, how about that, huh? Brendan Hyde pushing all the right buttons, puts him out there. You know, the Orioles, that's what they've kind of done. They just kind of hung around, and all it takes is one big blow, and that was a big one.
A homer by Mancini gives him 16, ties this up. Moncada fouls this one into the dugout for strike 1. And so you got to move some pieces around a little bit. You've got Gutierrez playing at second base, and Ryan McKenna, the third baseman. Fouled back. Wells jumps ahead of Moncada, 0-2. Now 2 strikes the count. In extra innings this year, the Orioles 3-4. Wells will step off. Anderson will head back to the bag. Last time the Orioles, they played an extra inning game. They won an extra inning game. That was up in Buffalo. They beat the Blue Jays 6-5. Moncada slices it foul, and that ended the 20-game road losing streak. So they can take one from Chicago. Man, what a strange offensive day for the Orioles. You get a home run off of Cease almost immediately, and then you don't have any hits until you get 2 outs in the 9th inning against Liam Hendricks. McKenna singles, then Mancini hits the home run. Yeah, it's how it happened twice. Single home run, and then with 2 outs in the 9th, single by McKenna and a home run by Mancini. It's 1-2 against Moncada. Top part of the White Sox order is up. So you have Tyler Wells in the game. That can go a little bit longer for you. One-two. And that is in the dirt. He tried the changeup. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
First changeup of the day that I can remember for Wells. And mostly fastball, slider, and a lot of fastballs.
I think we've seen him throw the slider a little bit more often just because of the type of lineups that he has been seeing. Two-two. And Moncada works it full. He has come to the plate 5 times in this game, and he has gone to 4 different full counts.
He sees a lot of pitches.
Jose Ruiz is warming in the White Sox bullpen as Moncada fouls it away. And you know the thing about Moncada, if you can get him on base, you know, you want to have base runners if you're the visiting team in extra innings with the way things work. Getting 1 run, you need to ideally do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing for multiple, right? You want multiple runs. And of course, you're the home team, you got a big advantage because obviously if the other team doesn't score, then you're just playing for the 1.
So ball 4, and Wells hands out a rare walk.
Tyler Wells up to 26 pitches now. And there's Dylan Tate. Another hard throwing right-hander getting warmed up in that Oriole bullpen.
Said that he rarely walks hitters. Tyler Wells, that's just the 9th walk that he has given out this year. So Jose Abreu is coming up. A walk, a single, a strikeout, and a ground out for Jose Abreu. Strike 1. And for Tyler Wells, also, we pointed out, didn't give up any walks in the month of June. He hadn't given up any in his first 3 appearances. That free pass, the first one he's handed out since May 24th.
Yeah, he has been so good with his command. Here's a guy that just started really just trusting his stuff, you know, and the more success he had, the more confidence he began to get.
And that's really what it boils down to, a lot of it, isn't it? Like when you get to the major leagues, you got to feel comfortable believing that you belong there, and then hopefully if you have that belief, that it means, all right, I'll be aggressive in the strike zone.
I think when you're a young guy, especially you're a guy that never pitched even in the AAA, AA was the highest level. You know, when you first make it to the big leagues, you got to wonder if you belong or not. And I think that's what Tyler Wells went through. And then as he went through the process, he started to say, yeah, you know, my stuff's pretty good. And then he started believing himself. Then all of a sudden the results came.
And he's jumped ahead of Abreu 0-2. Rule 5 pick coming over from the Twins. Spring training got better with each outing that he had. Was especially good in his outing he had against the Yankees. That was kind of the moment for him that you're like, all right, this guy's going north with the Orioles, and he's gotten better with each month that he's pitched, and now here he is in a game that's 4-4 against one of the premier offenses in the game. The 0-2, he strikes him out. Abreu down via strikes.
Well, if you want to know if this young man can pitch in high leverage situations, this tells you all you need to know. First and second and nobody out, and you're facing one of the most best run producers in baseball since 2014. And he just takes a high velocity fastball, throws it right by him on the outside part of the plate.
They've got the first out. That's big for the Orioles because, as we said, Visiting team doesn't score, and all you need is a single run. Brian Goodwin, big game yesterday, quiet today, 0 for 4. Looks at strike one. He was 4 for 5 yesterday, drove in 3, 4 hits were a career high, and a couple of RBIs in Friday's game.
Yeah, but you know, nothing to show for it today, but he still swung it pretty good. I mean, his first 2 at-bats, he lined out, then he hit a hard ground ball in the 6th inning, so he struck it pretty firm 3 of the 4 at-bats today.
Counts 0-1. White Sox have gone 1 for 5 with men in scoring position. Did he check? Nope. 0-2. Arias, Gutierrez, Mancini. Then you got Ryan McKenna over at third base. The 0-2. Rides it high. And have we seen a bunch of strikeouts in this game today? Between the two teams, 25 punch-outs. Wells made Goodwin number 26. 1-2, lifted foul. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Anderson's at second, Moncada's at first. Popped up, foul and out of play.
Well, up to 34 pitches now, but the stuff seems to be the same.
1-2, put in the air, center field. Cedric Mullins drifting back. Catch is made. Anderson tags. And Gutierrez is there to cut it off. So you got the second out. And runners now at the corners for the White Sox. But you're 1 out away from putting a 0 on the scoreboard and sending up 9, 1, and 2 in your order.
Yeah, this is the big one right here. Here comes Brandon Hyde.
Well, Adam Engel is the one that is due to bat. And Hyde is coming out to talk to Tyler Wells. He's not made a signal yet. He's going to keep him in the game. He's going to keep him in the game.
Wow, why not? I mean, when you look at relievers and you look at in recent time, especially the last month, 5 weeks, that young man you're seeing right there has been the best the Orioles have. And that might have been just a little confidence boost to know, hey, but also a little strategy too. Look, first and third, 2-out situation. Just make sure if the runner takes off at first base, you disengage the rubber, step off the back of the rubber. I don't think that's going to happen, but that might have been what that's about.
And they're going to move McKenna over to second base now. Gutierrez back to third. High and in, ball 1. One and 0. This is high, ball 2. And you didn't see it, but the bullpen gate was actually open, as I think there was some thought that well, maybe they're going to make the change. And when Brandon Hyde has come out of the dugout this year, that's what he's done. But he sticks with Tyler Wells. He's gone 2-0 against Adam Engel. 1 hit in this game. He got hit by a pitch and scored earlier. And then he's flied out and grounded out. Hyde sticking with Tyler Wells. Game tied at 4. Runners at the corners. So he's missed upstairs with a couple pitches. That one was close, but it's still a 3-0 count.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Most number of pitches Wells has thrown in an outing this year's 51. 3-0. Gets the call there for a strike. Next offering for him will be number 40. As well as today pitching for the first time since earlier in the week against the Blue Jays. 3-1. And that is clubbed out to deep left center field. Mullins giving chase. Adam Engel sends it into the bullpen. The White Sox lead 7-4. Off a 3-1 pitch, Chicago jumps out in front, and if it was going to happen, given the day we've had today, you figured it would be off the home run.
Yeah, nothing but home runs today, responsible for the runs, and a predictable count. 3-2 count. Engel knew fastball was coming. This one wasn't in the center of the plate, but it was outer third, and Engel kind of cheated a little bit. He got the head out there, and the White Sox take a 3-run lead here in the top of the 10th inning. Elevated out over the plate, and Engel knew it as soon as he barreled it up.
So Engel's home run puts the White Sox ahead 7-4. Tyler Wells has to come out. Dylan Tate coming in.
Really good. Made one mistake, paid for it with a 3-run home run. The White Sox have a 7-4 lead here in the top of the 10th inning. He was really good. That man, Adam Engel, takes it out for a 3-run shot. Dylan Tate get a shot to get the last out. 28 appearances on the year, 4.66 ERA. Opponents hitting .231 off the right-hander, Dylan Tate.
Faces Leori Garcia, and there's strike 1. Everything we've seen today off the homer. Trey Mancini tied it up in his final game before the home run derby tomorrow. Chopped up the first base line. Mancini has got it at the bag. He steps on it, and the inning is over. But thanks to Adam Engel, the White Sox have a 3-run lead. It's 7-4. Bottom of the 10th next. Tyler Wells, they kept him out there for Adam Engel. He hits a 3-run homer into the bullpen, and so the White Sox with the lead. Final game before the All-Star break, and Jose Ruiz now coming back on for Chicago.
Yeah, making his 33rd appearance. A very good ERA, 3.1. Strikeout per inning. And opponents hitting just 198 off the right-hander, Jose Ruiz. Yeah, I felt like just trying to extend Tyler Wells a little bit, you know, and to me the command wasn't quite as good as it was, because he was pretty much ahead of everybody until right there at the end and got it a pretty predictable count, 3-2, and Engel put a good swing on it. But all in all, Tyler Wells pretty good today.
Pedro Severino is the runner at second base to start off the bottom half of the 10th. Now we should tell you that yesterday Ruiz pitched, and it was a little bit shaky. 2/3 of an inning, walked 3 batters, 29 pitches, 12 strikes. So keep that in mind as he comes into today. Gutierrez, Mullins, Hayes, the 3 he's going to see in the bottom of the 10th. Already turned to Trey Mancini off your bench. He hit the home run, which tied us and got us to extra innings. So it'll be Gutierrez, who's gone 0 for 3. And there's strike 1 from Ruiz.
But that was a little bit unusual for Ruiz, what we saw yesterday. Normally, the guy's got pretty decent control, but he certainly didn't have it yesterday.
0-1. Gutierrez lines it right back up the middle, base hit. They'll give the stop sign to Severino. And so the Orioles, they'll bring the tying run to the plate. And it is Cedric Mullins. He's got his 16 home runs.
Boy, you talk about right back at your face. Ruiz, look out. Gutierrez, after a really good night, picks up his very first night, game 1 of this series. Not much to show for it until now. Jerry Narron on the phone. There's Tony La Russa looking in.
Mullins has been on base twice. Singled, scored a run. He's also stolen a base. It's inside, ball 1. And Mullins hits this one right center field and deep, but on the track. Catch is made. Severino will come down to score. Mullins, man, was he close.
About as close as you can get to tying this thing up. Still drives in a run with a sacrifice fly, but off the bat, I think he thought he might have had this one. Gets pretty good lumber on this one. Had him angle all the way back to just the edge of the wall.
So you've got Gutierrez still on at first base. Here's Hayes. 2-run homer earlier. Takes outside, ball 1. His 9th home run of the year. Second long ball would tie us up. Punches it foul. Strike 1. Orioles tempting a come from behind win after the White Sox scored 3 times in the 10th. It would also be the Orioles' first win against Chicago this year if they can pull it off. Hayes, it's another one foul. So it's a ball and 2 strikes. Double barrel action in the White Sox bullpen. They've got Matt Foster and Jace Fry.
Well, the Orioles are right where they want to be in the lineup.
He fights another one off. After Hayes, he got Santander, who he noted earlier. Most of his hits recently have been extra base hits.
And he'll be from his better side, which is his left side. Assuming a pitching change is not made.
And Hayes is the 3rd batter faced by Ruiz, so you could make the change if you wanted to. Hit upstairs. Still 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes against Hayes. Ruiz brings it. Hayes fights it off. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Austin Hayes. Great to see how he came on in that series against Houston. Numbers for him over the last couple of weeks have been really trending up.
Yes.
And you're looking for big things out of him in the second half of the year.
I think you say I'm expecting big things out of Austin Hayes second half.
1-2. He laid off, according to Sam Holbrook.
If he can stay on the field for the whole second half, I think he's going to have an outstanding second half. He has got it in the tank. We'll see if he went here. Ooh, that was close. That was really close. That's one of those 50-50s there.
2-2. With Ruiz on the mound. Third batter that he has faced after Hendricks got the first 2 outs in the 9th, then gave up the single to McKenna and the Mancini homer, which tied it. Down and away. What a plate appearance by Austin Hayes.
How about this at bat? We talked about his total career at bats nearing 450 now, so not even a complete full season for him. Although he's been up and down last 4 years.
9th pitch. Hayes, did he go? No. Orioles put the tying run on base, and they'll bring the winning run to the plate in Santander.
Oh, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and not really that close on that one. One big swing away. One big swing. Been a crazy game.
It's been a wild game. Tony La Russa really taking his time getting out to the mound. And Foster is going to be the choice. White Sox make a pitching change. 2 on base. 7-5 Chicago. Extras at Camden.
After making his 26th appearance on the year, ERA elevated. 25 2/3 innings pitch. He can strike you out. 32 of those. Only 9 walks. Opponents hitting .286 off the right-hander Matt Foster, who will inherit a first and second situation with just 1 out.
And he'll face Santander. You got Gutierrez, who singled off of Ruiz, and then Hayes. What a job to earn a walk. And she got Ruiz out of the game. And so Tony La Russa makes the change. They go to Matt Foster. Kopech, Hoyer, Crochet, Hendricks, Ruiz, and now Foster. So we're in the bottom half of the 10th inning. 3-run homer by Engel put the White Sox out in front. Orioles have gotten 1 off a sac fly by Cedric Mullins. Almost left the ballpark. And here's Santander. And Foster misses outside. We've talked about it that recently Santander, a lot of his hits have been home runs. 4 of his last 6, 2 homers, couple of doubles. And then earlier this week had a 431-foot shot that landed on Utah Street.
Yeah, and these are the kind of fastballs he can really get to. This isn't going to be upper 90s type stuff here.
At the knees, 1-1.
Kind of a low 90s fastball by Foster. Sometimes he'll hit 94, 95, but this could be 92, 93.
Runners out to their leads. 1 ball, 1 strike. 7-5 White Sox. Santander on a line out to left. Hamilton makes the catch, and Gutierrez stays in place at second. Well, we were on the edge of our seats in the last inning. Orioles, the man on base, now their final out. You pinch hit for Trey Mancini. He hit a 2-run homer. If DJ Stewart hits a home run, it would win it for the O's. He came on as a pinch hitter in the last inning, replacing Valleca, and struck out. Outside, ball 1.
Well, DJ Stewart quite capable. Remember the run he went on last year. And again, this is not the kind of fastball that typically can chew you up.
The 1-0 driven to center field. It's deep. Engel going back at the track. Short once more, and the White Sox, they use the home run from Engel, and they take it today by a final score of 7-5. Mullins just missed one, and there's Stewart just missed one too.
Gosh, that's tough. That's tough right before the break, but you know what? The Orioles still showed a lot by coming back to Mancini home run to force extra innings here. So certainly something to build on for the Orioles, and good for Trey Mancini. Hope he does well at the home run derby. Of course, Cedric Mullins going to be an all-star. So all in all, but the Orioles a chance to kind of hit the reset button, regroup a little bit, get a few days off, and hopefully come back and have a better second half.
It'll be great to see with Cedric Mullins in that All-Star game in a couple of days. Watch Mancini tomorrow. All-Star break begins tomorrow. You can join us again on Friday, July 16th, when the Birds open up a 3-game set in Kansas City. Coverage on MASN 2 begins at 7:30 with those extra presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, followed by game coverage at 8 o'clock. Final score, White Sox 7, Orioles 5 in 10. For Ben McDonald, Jeff Arnold saying enjoy the All-Star break, everybody. Melanie Newman with those extra presented by PNC Bank. That's coming up next.